episode 162 of the Hockey Cards Gongshow podcast. My name is Josh. I'm here with Troy on a very busy Sunday. I think I'm going to sleep all day tomorrow, Troy. This is going to be nutty day. Both our kids have playoff hockey games. You're coming off a big playoff victory in high school, which we'll talk about in a minute. I have a family get together. We have to record our episode. What else do we have? Oh yeah, the Jeremy Lee YouTube show tonight. It's all crazy, but a ton of fun. So what happened at the section championships? Are the Minnetonka Skippers headed back to the state tournament, Troy?
They are headed back to the state tournament. So now we got to do on-air production meeting. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. My volume was all messed up, but I think I fixed it. But yes, Tonka, we are headed back to the state tournament. We won our section final game against Holy Family, 4-0. Kind of dominated the game. We outshot them 45-16, maybe something like that. So we are heading back. Starts on Thursday. We're the one.
Who do you play?
First game is against Maple Grove, which is not an easy first game. And the reason we play them, that they're so tough, they only seed teams 1 through 5. And then once those are seeded, the remaining 3 teams, it's supposed to be a random draw. So we actually got a pretty tough first game. The 7, or I don't know what you want to say, the team that was like the other 2 teams that were unseeded are probably not as good as Maple Grove, but at the end of the day, you got to beat it. You got to win. So we'll roll with it and see how it goes, but it'll be a tough first round. It'll be a tough tournament. This tournament's super deep.
You said supposed to be random. So I'm thinking there's some high school hockey drama going on here.
Yeah,
controversy, conspiracy theory.
If you want to look at the old Star Tribune, which is the Minneapolis paper, they have an article that they don't call it out, but it just seems odd that for the second year in a row, the toughest unseeded team is the one seed plays, which is us. But whatever, it is what it is.
Well, we were on a text chain, and you were saying last night that your high school hockey team has 10 Division I commitments. Is that what you said?
Yep. We have 10 players that are committed to Division I, and probably another couple, 2 or 3 that are just too young to commit yet, that they will probably be there too. So yeah, we're we got a lot of talent. Just got to put it all together, and talent doesn't do anything if you don't come out and work hard.
Hey, don't blow it season's in full effect right now.
We'll see.
Troy, we have a Breezers controversy update.
Okay, let's do it.
So I couldn't get past it was, I guess, a personal revelation that Breezers, I guess, are really hockey pants. We grew up, we've been lied to our whole lives here in Minnesota, Troy. Been struggling to cope, and I couldn't let go. So I decided to do the most worthless Instagram poll ever.
Oh, let's do it.
I kind of want to determine if it's just like us weirdos here in Soda that call hockey pants, I guess, Breezers. And yeah, we're weird because 89% of people call them hockey pants. So that still continues to blow my mind. The other thing that I'm going to take this like even a tiny step further, then I'm going to move on. But so you know how like when you get on a team that tries to be all fancy and they issue you Breezer covers, like I'm sure your Minnetonka Skippers have.
Yep.
What are they called in Canada then? Hockey pants covers?
I don't know. Breezer
doesn't
covers
make any sense, does it?
Yeah, it's kind of weird, but I've always thought it was Breezers. That's what I've always grown up with. But I have heard the term hockey pants, and I kind of knew in the back of my head that I think the majority of people call them hockey pants, but we call them Breezers.
All right. Well, hockey pants it is, I guess, but we're going to stick to our Minnesota roots. And
our poll for our audio listeners was hockey pants 89%, Breezers a paltry 11%.
Yeah, thank you. Forgot about that. Yeah. 89% to 11. Got to give a quick shout out, Troy, for one of our sponsors, My Card Post, hit a huge milestone a couple days ago. Now, 50,000 cards have been listed on their site. And you got to remember, it's only like 18 months now old, My Card Post. And it's been completely bootstrapped by our friend Mark Hill. He just thought there was a better way to buy, sell, and trade cards online. And holy moly, Troy, I guess he was right. It appears to be working. I love the platform, as I've said a million times personally. The funniest thing about my experience with my card post has been was not a trader prior
Yeah.
to. I'm just like, I don't want to deal with people. I don't want to negotiate. I don't want to go back and forth a million times. I just want to find cards that I like and buy them and have that be that. And because it makes MCP makes trading so easy, that's basically all I do now. It kind of converted me into a trader, and the cards I've gotten on there are really insane. And
Yeah.
so, just really want to give them a little bit of a shout out and congratulate them for 50,000 cards is no joke having on your platform. Last thing about that is, if you've thought about trying out my card post and maybe even on the fence, they did give us a promo code Gongshow 30 GONGSHOW 30. You can save 30% off your first 3 months. And then lastly, Troy, we have the craziest, biggest show ever. This one went off the rails, people. Hopefully, lots and lots of great info. But really quickly, though, before we get going, a reminder that the Hockey Cards Gong Show podcast is a Patreon podcast. You can support our show for as little as $5 a month through Patreon. Helps us cover our show expenses, continue to produce more and, well, hopefully better hockey card content and fun initiatives, even in a small way to grow the hockey card hobby. It's very easy to do. You can go to our website, hockeycardsgongshow.com, and there's a link to become a patron. You can go to the Patreon's website, patreon.com, and just search for Hockey Cards Gong Show. We put a link in the show description in both the podcast apps and on YouTube. And then finally, there's a link in our Instagram and TikTok profiles as well. We have a $199 support level tier. I mentioned it's $5 a month. And you also get access to our Discord. Kind of join the crew there. We have 2 new patrons since our last show. So very, very grateful to Calder City Sports Cards and Tony G, who both joined the Auto 199. You ready with the game plan?
All right, I am. On today's show, we begin with the almost greatest NHL player to wear number 62. Then it's off to Who's Hot in the Struggle Bus. Next, we take a look at hobby news. This is followed by a segment looking at the multiple Gretzky rookie cards that are on the move in the hobby. We finish the show with the trifecta of new product releases, the Gong Show mailbag, and personal pickups. Okay, Josh. Previously, we looked at the greatest NHL player that wore the number that matched our episode number. We ran through the numbers, so now we're looking at the almost greatest NHL player to wear each number from the runners-up in the Hockey Writers' greatest NHL player to wear each number article. The almost greatest NHL player to wear number 62 per the nominees in the Hockey Writers' greatest NHL player to wear each number article, and selected by me is this guy, Josh, Andrei Nazarov. I'm unsettled because this was like the best picture I could find. All the images of action and stuff were mostly his hockey cards. So I just found
Really?
a profile photo, and we're going with this. And now he's staring at me, and I don't like it for our YouTube viewers. I apologize.
It looks like a high school hockey photo.
He does. It does. Slick back hair and everything. Josh, there were no other runners up at number 62. As a reminder, the greatest to wear number 62 was Carl Hagelin. Let's just say if you're an up-and-comer and you think you can make it and be on this list, take number 62 because it's pretty slim pickings at number 62. All right.
I've never heard of Andrei Nazarov.
Oh, we'll get to that. We'll get to that in a little bit, that we should have heard of him. Maybe. We'll see.
Okay. Ooh.
Yeah, spicy.
Bated breath, Troy. I'm a bated
All
breath.
right. Yeah, spicy. He's a left winger, Josh, from Chelyabinsk, Soviet Union. I feel we've had that city before. I probably butchered it the same way. But anyways, he's from the Soviet Union. Nazarov was the 10th overall selection in the 1992 NHL entry draft by the San Jose Sharks. Nazarov played in 571 regular season NHL games over a 12-season NHL career. Now, our boy, Josh Nazarov, played for a bunch of teams during his career. Not as many as Jagr, I don't think, but he started out with the San Jose Sharks, then played for the following teams in chronological order: Tampa Bay Lightning, Calgary Flames, Mighty Ducks of Anaheim, Boston Bruins, Phoenix Coyotes, and finally, Josh, our Minnesota Wild.
Really?
He played for us. Now, I had no clue of him playing for the Wild. No clue. I'm like, oh, okay, let's look this up, because I saw he played for Minnesota. He played 2 games in the 2005-06 season. So probably very few Wild fans remember who he is. I don't think he made a big impact. So
what was your favorite Nazarov moment with the Wild try?
Yeah, it's
The one shift where he skated good.
Yeah, probably ran at the boards or something. But yeah, he maybe got in a fight because he was a fighter. But yeah, so we didn't remember him at the Wild, but he played kind of 12 years, 12 seasons. And that's what we got. So his awards and accomplishments, Josh, you know where this is going. No NHL individual awards or team accomplishments. So no cups or anything. During his career, 53 goals, 71 assists for 124 points.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're getting in
so the guy who's the greatest player ever, the second greatest player ever,
almost greatest
player, to wear number 62, had 50 goals in 10 years or 5 years.
53 goals, 71 assists for 124 points in 12 seasons.
Wow, you're no kidding.
That's why it's wide open at 62 if you want to make a run for it. Anyone got some kid coming up that looks good, going to be in the NHL, tell them to wear 62. They'll make this list.
That's every hockey parent, right?
Yeah, that's true. Now, all right, Nazarov made the playoffs, Josh, in 2 of his NHL seasons, compiling the impressive stat line of 0 goals, 0 assists for 0 points in 9 NHL playoff games played.
Wait, maybe it's like we're cutting him a little short here, Troy, I think. To stick around in the NHL for 12 seasons and score 50 goals is pretty impressive, isn't it?
Well, you'll know why he stuck around. I'll get to it. He's one of I'll get to it why he stuck around.
All right.
Best season of his NHL career from a point standpoint was his 1999-2000 season, where Nazarov had 10 goals, 22 assists for 32 points in 76 games played with the Calgary Flames. Now, Nazarov came into the NHL as a power forward. However, as his career progressed, he became known primarily as an enforcer, Josh, and this is why he kind of stuck around. He racked up penalty minutes and was never afraid to drop the gloves. In his 571 career regular season games, Nazarov had 1,409 penalty minutes. So every game he played in, he basically was getting a penalty. It was basically how it works out.
Wow.
And this is the type of player that I see why he was around during his playing career, but it's a dying breed in the NHL, in the current NHL. The guys like Ryan Reeves, those guys are kind of a dying breed. Teams have realized, hey, it's not good to get a lot of penalties. However, you still need some kind of physical presence, but now a lot of the physical presence guys are actually skilled. These third and fourth line guys can still put up points or score if they need to. So again,
it's funny. We're on the same wavelength again. I was thinking Ryan Reeves.
Yeah.
And while you're talking, I looked him up. Would you guess he has more or less goals than Nazarov?
I'm going to say more.
You're right. 61 goals in his career.
Yeah, Reeves always pops 1 or 2 in every once in a while. So I figured, not a lot more than Nazarov. So at 53, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we got on our boy. He's just a big enforcer. 12 seasons. Congrats to him. Most recently, Josh, got the tiny picture for our YouTube viewers. Nazarov was the head coach of HC Sochi in the KHL, but is no longer the head coach for the 23-24 season. I didn't really find out why. Obviously he got let go or he decided to retire, but he is no longer in the KHL. I don't think. He might be. There was a lot of weird articles I had to try to read in Russian and use Google Translate and just didn't work very well. So prior to all that, prior to being the head coach of HC Sochi, he held various coaching roles in the KHL and also coached the Russian national team. And get this, Josh, the Ukrainian national team. I don't think you can do that anymore. I don't think they'll allow you to coach both of them or help with one or the other. So that's kind of a little bit about his playing career. And now the fun, interesting facts, Josh. His nicknames, the Russian Bear and the Russian Keenan, for his coaching style being very similar to Mike Keenan. So we'll say he was very aggressive,
all right,
combative, not afraid to speak his mind. And we'll see that in a little bit. So Josh, I took this from Wikipedia, so take it for what it's worth. In 2021, without any evidence, Nazarov accused NHL star, the bread man, Panarin, of assaulting a woman. Nazarov, a known supporter of Russian leader Vladimir Putin, has repeatedly and publicly criticized Panarin for his outspoken beliefs regarding Putin's regime. So there you go.
So he's not a fan, huh?
Not a fan. Doesn't like the bread man. It was just wild reading that. I'm like, I'll just put that in there. Everyone take it for what they want. All right, for our third, I guess we'll call it interesting fact. Nazarov also stated that a large number of players in the league use performance-enhancing drugs. He retired shortly after making these comments, partially due to the backlash he received. So I wonder if he made those comments when he was with the Wild, because he played his 2 games, made the comments, and then off he went. But he's very outspoken. And then this is my favorite thing. If you go to YouTube, Josh, you can find videos of Nazarov swinging a hockey stick at fans while he was a coach over in Russia. This is always fun stuff. The video is kind of crazy. He takes a couple good whacks because he said they were throwing things at him. I get it, but you can't swing a stick and try to hit the fans. I think he got ejected from the game, probably suspended.
Yeah, seems like a sweet guy, Troy.
Yeah, he's like real level-headed. I get it, but so that's what we got for our boy for his what he's doing in fun facts. So his cards, Josh, for his rookie card. Apologies if anyone hears my dog. Harley's made her appearance known. She has to do it once a show. His rookie card, Josh, is a 1993-94 Donruss, number 490. If you're watching on YouTube, it's on the screen. There is only one graded copy at PSA, and it is a PSA 8, Josh. Obviously, I couldn't find a sale of it, but the last raw sale of his card, of this Donruss card I could find, was for $1 on August 2nd, 2023. But to give him a fair shake, we went to BGS, see what was out there. Ooh. And he has only one graded card at BGS. It's his 2001-02 Be a Player Update Tough Customers. And it's a BGS 8.5. For our YouTube viewers, I have a picture of it on the screen. It's kind of a dual player card. It's Nazarov with a game used jersey piece, and Ian Lapierre from looks like the Kings.
Yep.
And
the Kings.
I couldn't even find any sales of this card, not the graded one or raw copies. So I guess people don't want it. But that's what we got. Pretty low level here, but it was interesting. Fun to see not fun, but interesting to see the career progression and head coaching, and then swinging sticks at fans.
Well, for a guy who had not much going on in his career, actually one of the more wilder fun facts that we've seen. So Andrei Nazarov, almost like you said, if you put your kid in hockey, put him in number 62. All right, we're back with another edition, Troy, of Who's Hot in the Struggle Bus. We just completed week 19 of the NHL season. Now, being named to the Gongshow Who's Hot list is probably one of the biggest honors you would think an NHL player can receive that they'll never hear about, probably, or care about. But you put in that category, we think it's a big deal. And then, of course, Troy, there's the Struggle Bus, which is pretty self-explanatory in of itself. Don't want to be named to the Struggle Bus for sure, but we're not going to waste any more time. You're right into the players that made Gongshow's Who's Hot list this week. Very emotional first player, Troy. It's a big moment for us. And I'm going to start with a question. Is this the beginning of the Gongshow Slavkovsky apology tour, Troy?
Well, it looks like he's waiting for us to apologize on that picture. That's a pretty good picture of there.
I mean, he's got mad face at us.
But yeah, he heard us kind of get on him for being on the Struggle Bus. He's been on the Struggle Bus, I think, at least twice for sure. But now he's like, nah, enough of this. Here we go. It's time to make the Who's Hot hot tub.
Well, we have some life. There's a hockey pulse that was found in the 2022 number 1 overall pick. In the last 2 weeks, Troy, Slavkovsky has the 4th most points of any NHL player with 9. That's 5 goals, 4 assists, and 5 games played, bringing his 2023-24 season totals to 12 goals, 17 assists for 29 points and 54 games played, which is more than a half of a point per game. Boy, from where he was, that's a pretty big improvement.
Yep.
He's also now had points in a record 8 straight games for a Canadian player who's under 20 years old. Now, that's kind of one of those like interesting streaks that is what's the word for it? It's like it's
Well, it's like how many players are in that list? Like,
yeah.
I'm just curious, but yeah, it's
Well, a
one of
lot of the
those.
headlines too said that Slavkovsky has points in a record 8 straight games for Canadians player. And I saw that like 4 times, and I'm sitting there thinking, there's no way in the entire hit that like Rocket Richard
Yeah.
never had points in more than 8 straight games. But then I saw, oh yeah, it's for under 20 years old. But okay, well, let's get back to the apology. We'll start with you, Troy. Well, what do you have to say to Slavkovsky and his family about how you've treated him on the show?
We were fair, and we're also fair when you do well. And now you're made the Who's Hot list. So I hope he keeps it up. We've always said we want him to succeed. Now he's starting to succeed.
Now we're in a little bit, Troy. We're going to talk a lot about Jaromir Jagr and his big retirement ceremony today. But I'm wondering, do we need to have a Hafkovsky retirement ceremony now that he's
Oh,
decided to be a good player?
there we go. We got the
Feels like
banner.
a special moment in Gong Show. We've never retired a number before on our show. So I guess as we raise the number one half today into the rafters of our attic, I suppose, because we don't have an arena, right? So I feel like you should be why don't you hit some music from the button bar, Troy, while the
There it is. Troy, I got my own manual button bar. I failed so miserably on that thing.
honestly,
It's like, well,
it's
now
never
it's
gonna
just like
happen.
I'm doing it to myself, but it's like every time I think about it, I'm in the middle of something and I just keep doing what I was doing and I forget.
I'm gonna throw rocks at your window at night to get you to order it.
You're gonna hold a boombox outside my window, play some song to remind me to go order it.
Now, Slavkovsky, he's not just changing our tune, Troy. Writers and pundits everywhere are starting to sing his praises. Like if you go look, lots of very positive Slavkovsky articles right now. So what happened, right? It's like he's been pretty bad. And let's just be honest, for the first, well, probably full season of his career
Mm-hmm.
since he missed the last half of last year.
He got injured
And
too. He's got
he
injured
got
thrown in
injured.
there.
But from everything I read, it's been a confidence thing. And here's like a really good, succinct quote from Montreal goaltender Jake Allen. It's very short, but I love it. Allen says, "I think he's realized he's a really good hockey player."
Fair. Facts.
Eh,
Stating facts.
Now, if he can continue the momentum, of course, the sky is the limit for him. He's still 6 weeks away from his 20th birthday, so very, very young. And I personally think that I like this trend of these NHL teams not burying these rookies on the fourth line with lesser talent. So I think the move Montreal made to team him up on a line with Cole Caulfield and Nick Suzuki
Mm-hmm.
probably has made a big difference towards him building that confidence. Would you agree with that?
Oh, 100%. You get two of those talented guys with you. I mean, you're almost forcing yourself to play to their level to make that line succeed. And once you get there, you don't want to be put back down. You want to play with the best guys.
Okay, Troy. So Juraj Slavkovsky is a 2022-23 Young Guns. His PSA 10 is a pop 457, 30% gem rate. Just sold February 17th for a whopping $310 US via eBay. Verified is paid for in Terapeak. That is an 85% increase since the beginning of the month. It was on February 1st, sold for 168
Nice.
bucks. The 310 is also a record sale for his Young Guns PSA 10. We don't see a lot of young Gun record sales very often anymore.
No.
So you think that we might be on the doorstep of a Slavkovsky hobby moment, Troy?
So you're saying he's going to make the run like our Tage Thompson or Jason
I don't
Robertson,
know.
some of those guys. Yeah, well, if he keeps it up, yes, you'll see a run because he's on fire, and I hope it keeps. I hope he keeps that momentum going.
Upper Deck's probably praying for it because they need somebody to sell 2022 boxes.
Yeah.
So there it is. He's finally off the struggle bus and into the Who's Hot list. You're at Slavkovsky. You've got the next guy, though.
I do, Josh, and I'm going to hold off a little bit before I reveal who it is.
Okay, wow.
But I think so. I was looking through all of the lists, the stats, and I bet you probably saw this too. There's a lot of players playing very, very well right now. And I don't think I've ever had it where it's like we have a plethora of people to choose from, and the list is getting pretty full. Now, before I started, piling in my guys to the Who's Hot tub to figure out who to check, I still have to make a mention of a couple guys that I'll call them our usual suspects, but you can't have a show every week where the same 2 guys are on it or 3 guys. But just acknowledge McDavid is still on fire. He's month of February, he's got 14 points in 6 games played. Now he's turned into an assist machine for some reason. He's got 1 goal, 13 assists in the month of February. And he had that big 6 assist performance against Detroit on February 13th. So we get it. Connor McDavid, he's probably forever on the Who's Hot list for now or in the hot tub. And then we got Suzuki, who you kind of mentioned. We mentioned him, I think it was the last Who's Hot list. He's still on fire. He's got 11 points in 6 games. And like I said, I don't care about his stats. I just want to get updates on if he's learning French, which seems to be going very well. I had another guy listed, but I'm going to hold off on him because you will probably talk about him in a little bit. But the guy I chose for my Who's Hot pick is this guy, Josh, Matt Duchene of the Dallas Stars. And
look at that look. Holy,
look at that look.
Holy.
Isn't that sweet? Good flow if you're watching on YouTube. Good mustache, everything. And
like Johnny Depp with hockey hair.
He did. It is. And I chose him partly because, we never talk about Duchene, but he's on fire too. He's in that top. I know you said, what was it, the last 2 weeks? He's probably he's in the top 5, I think, as well for points. But for the month of February, the 33-year-old forward has 5 goals, 5 assists for 10 points in 6 games played. On the season, Duchene has 22 goals, 33 assists for 55 points in 54 games played, which puts him on pace for 84 points, which is close to his career high of 86 points that he had in the 21-22 season with Nashville. And I was looking at Duchene. I started thinking about him going to Dallas. He's a little older. So I think it's safe to say that Dallas is getting way beyond what they probably expected they would get out of Matt Duchene this year. He's had an absolutely terrific season. He's tied for the team lead in points with Jason Robertson at 55 as of the time I did the research. He's also second on the team for assists and points.
They've got some really old guys on that team. I mean, they got like a lot of really young ones like Wyatt Johnson and J-Rob and Heiskanen still and probably Rope Hintz. But they have Pavelski, Ben, and Duchene.
Yep, for sure.
And they have the marshmallow thrower too, right?
Oh, yeah, Suter's still on there. And then some other nuggets I found when I was doing some research on him. He's got a career high right now, plus minus of plus 18, which again, I've always stated I'm not the biggest plus minus guy, but that's just kind of an interesting little data point. Additionally, he's tied for 3rd in the NHL this season with 7 game-winning goals.
Clutch.
So he's starting to score when it matters. All of this, Josh, is coming at a bargain price tag of $3 million US for this season. So that's pretty good. And when you look at the salary of the Dallas Stars team, he's the 8th highest paid player. So again, Dallas getting good value for him.
Do you think the Kings would trade PLD for him straight up?
Oh, yes. PLD, just that guy. I don't know. I haven't looked at it recently. I didn't see his name pop up or anything, but I'm sure he's still being PLD. So our boy Duchene, Josh, he's a 2009 Young Guns PSA 10 pop of 87, gem rate 33%. Most recent sale was on December 2nd of 2023 for $54.75 US via eBay, verified in Terapeak. These cards sell pretty infrequently. Obviously, the low pop PSA 10 count. Previous sale I could find before the one I just mentioned was on September 27th of 2023 via eBay for $100 US. So again, you get these infrequent sales, and sometimes that price range just pops and runs all over the place. That's our boy, Matt Duchene.
First time on Who's Hot.
First time.
I wonder how many unique players have been put on the Who's Hot list now.
At one point, I was tracking them all in a spreadsheet, and I haven't done it for a while. I should probably do that again.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. Well, Troy, you were going to allude to him, and I figured we would have little to whatever credibility we have left would be gone if we didn't put Austin Matthews on the Who's Hot list. And then
you put him in the hot tub.
The Who's Hot tub. There's our guy right there. Sorry if you're listening, but I made a dumb photo for you. The dude, Troy, is in fuego. Remember when
Yep.
Stuart Scott used to say that all the
Yep.
time on SportsCenter? Rest in peace, Stuart Scott, for sure. In his last 6 games played, Matthews has only 8 goals and 5 assists for 13 points, giving him 48 goals, 23 assists for 71 points in 52 games played this season. Troy, that means he's almost averaging a goal per game, which is nutty.
That's
right now. His 82 game goal pace is 76 goals. I feel like he has, I'm not saying it's a slam dunk. It's probably, I don't know, maybe 50-50, but he's got a shot at 70 goals, doesn't he?
Yeah, for sure.
And this is kind of nuts. It's been 31 years since an NHL player has scored 70 goals in a season. Last player to score 70 goals was Alexander Mogilny, who had 76 goals in 77 games played in 1992-93. And in fact, Troy, only 8 players have ever scored 70 goals in an NHL season. Gretzky did it 4 times because, of course, he would. Brett Hull did it 3 years in a row. Kind of crazy. Lemieux did it twice. Then you have your one-timers of Phil Esposito, Yari Curry, Bernie Nichols, Teemu Solani in his rookie year, which is crazy. And then, of course, Mogilny in 1992-93. What else has been notable this season is about Matthews' goal scoring is the number of hat tricks he's accumulated. So far in the year, he has 6 hat tricks on the season, including back-to-back games, which is nutty. Now, he still has a long way to go to break the most hat tricks in a season record. Wayne Gretzky had 10 hat tricks in a season twice. But who knows? He just had them back-to-back games. As of right now, to Troy, Austin Matthews, this surprised me, 5th all-time in goals per game for players who have had scored a minimum of 200 career goals. He has 0.65 goals per game in his NHL career. The 4 players ahead of him, Mike Bossy, all-time leader with 0.76. Just a whisker behind was Mario Lemieux, 0.75. And then Cy Denny, and I didn't know who that is, had 0.7, played a long time ago. 0.75. And Babe Dye, who we have heard of, 0.75 as well. Now, in case you're wondering, Wayne Gretzky averaged 0.6, and Ovi has averaged 0.6 as well. So that makes Austin Matthews better than Wayne Gretzky. Cue all the hate comments right now. I'm just kidding. We are going to get hate comments. Anytime we mention Austin Matthews, we get crazy comments, which is I find so funny because, number one, neither you or I are Austin Matthews. Like I like him fine, but I wouldn't call myself a fan. I appreciate him in his game. But the best part about the comments we're going to get is that they're all going to be as if like we're the biggest Austin Matthews fans ever.
Yeah, and they should be more directed at me because I'm the Toronto guy, right? They're my Canadian team. They're my Canadian team. And so they should they should be more directed to me. But yeah,
he's just so polarizing. I can't think of a more polarizing.
Yeah, we've kind of talked about that too on the show. It was a couple seasons ago where he would get roughed up and he'd laugh and he wouldn't do anything about it. And some people didn't like that. Do you want to do another analysis on if he will be the all-time goal scoring leader in the NHL? Do you want to do that?
No. I don't know, my ego or my not my ego, my
pride or
no, come on.
Your general mental health.
My general mental health can handle that. It is pretty crazy though at the clip he's scoring goals. Austin Matthews, Troy, is a 2016-17 Young Guns PSA 10 as a pop, 3,390, 69% gem rate, less sold for $937 US on February 17th. That is up 10% in the past 2 weeks and up 14% in the past 3 months. All right, who's hot for week 19 are Juraj Slavkovsky, Matt Duchene, and Austin Matthews. And there she is, Troy. Pulled up right on time. We got the struggle bus for week 19 as well. Like per usual, you got the first selection. Which player is going to take his seat first on the struggle bus this week?
All right, Josh. Struggle bus is here. First player it's picking up. It's this guy. If you're watching on YouTube, you see his picture. I decided to go with Jake DeBrusk from the Boston Bruins. Again, another guy we probably haven't mentioned ever on the show. But when I started looking
He's
at
got
him,
a hobby following with
yeah,
Bruins fans too.
yeah, for sure. And I'm curious. I almost want Bruins fans to reach out because I don't know that much about Jake DeBrusk. And I kind of want to know what they think's kind of going on because there wasn't a lot of that good information out there. But over his past 8 games, 27-year-old left winger has 0 goals, 0 assists for 0 points as of the date I did my research, which was yesterday. And on the season,
Now, this is normally where we'd make a Slavkovsky joke, but now that we've retired,
we retired it. You got to come up with something else.
Is PLD the guy now, or
maybe it's PLD? We'll have to research his numbers a little more.
Okay.
Now, for the season, DeBrusk has 12 goals, 13 assists for 25 points in 53 games played. Now, you think about that, just subtract 8 games from that 53, and he was actually playing pretty well. Okay. He seems like he's very streaky. He gets those runs and then has some gaps where he's not doing very well, like most players. But again, with 8 games played, last 8 games, no goals, no assists, definitely a struggle bus candidate. And over this little cold streak, I'm calling it, DeBrusk has seen time. He's been on the second line as well as the first line. He's averaging around 17 minutes of ice time per night and is currently on the second power play unit. So I always look at that when I look up these guys. Like if you're on the 4th line and you're getting 8 minutes a night, well, you're not really a struggle bus candidate, but this guy's getting good playing time. I think he's on the first line right now, I think, but he's switched, first, second. So he's getting opportunities, just not getting any points. Now, I kind of mentioned this before, up until this cold streak, he's been having a pretty decent season. However, and you'll find this in articles, you'll even hear from Bruins organization that they need him to score. They need him to get points. And any cold streak by him is not good, especially when it's an 8-game pointless streak. And head coach Jim Montgomery has mentioned this as well in kind of some recent interviews, that they kind of need DeBrusk to produce. And I always worry when coaches say that because now all the pressure's on you. But again, you're in the NHL. You should expect that stuff. And Josh, DeBrusk, I think, needs to produce from a personal standpoint because guess what? He's in a contract year. This is the last year of his contract.
Ruh-roh.
Yep. And right now it's kind of up in the air of what will happen with him. They, obviously they can extend him, let him walk or trade him. And it seems like he's saying everything right in the press. I want to be in Boston. I want to stay in Beantown, he said. But again, not sure what's going on. Obviously, there's probably negotiations happening on the back end, but maybe they just can't get together on numbers, which is always a little worrisome. So we'll see what happens with him. But right now, he's on the struggle bus, having a decent season up until this point, but obviously need him to produce a little more. So Josh, our boy DeBrusk, he's a 2017 Young Guns. PSA 10 pop is 146. Gem rate of 42%. Again, this is another one. Does not trade a lot. Recent sales being in October of 2023 for around $35 US. And then last summer, when you find some more sales, this card saw sales in the range of $50 to $70 US. So that's
no goals and no assists in a bunch of games is gonna put you firmly on the struggle bus, Troy. Not surprised there. We got attendee joining Jake DeBrusk on the struggle bus. Yeah, I know you always hate as an avid goalie lover and goalie coach yourself, but I think you'll understand why. Lucas Dostal, Troy, 23-year-old Czech goalie for your Anaheim Ducks, has had a rough couple of weeks. His last 4 games played, he's let in just 12 goals on 85 shots. Is that good?
Not good.
That's a very healthy.
This is where I should take umbrage. This is where I take umbrage. He didn't let in the goals. The team let in the goals. He just happened to be the goalie.
Spoken to like a goalie coach. Right?
Well, that's how it's changing the vernacular in youth hockey because a lot of these kids now it's just the way they are built. You say let in and they think it's all their fault. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes they just don't have a chance if a back door is wide open. But NHL guys, you can say let in. They should be able to handle it.
Well, we'll get to that in a little bit, the team aspect. Dostal, though, in the last 4 games has a very healthy 6.04 goals against average and a .859 save percentage. He's 0-3-1 in that span as well. In fact, Troy, Austin Matthews had his last hat trick came again at the expense of Lucas Dostal. On the season now, Dostal has an 8-14-1 record with a 3.69 goals against and a .897 save percentage. He was the 85th overall pick by the Anaheim Ducks in the 2018 NHL entry draft. He's 6'1", Troy. So does that make him extremely short, as some NHL scouts now like to say?
Yeah, I wouldn't say extremely short, but he's definitely on the smaller end for an NHL goalie.
Which is crazy.
It is crazy. I mean, I think our small guys are Dustin Wolf, who I want to say is like 5'11" or maybe 6 feet on the button.
Devin Levi, right? He's pretty short.
I think Devin Levi, it's crazy. And it's I wonder how it just the projection will just keep going up. When will 6'4" be the small NHL goalie?
And it's not like all season has been this bad for Dostal. He's had a couple highlights. Back, I think at the beginning of the year, so first part of January, he had a franchise record 55 saves in a 2-1 overtime loss to the Maple Leafs. That's got to hurt.
Yeah.
Making a franchise record in saves, but not picking up the win. Earlier than that, though, even in October, he was rookie of the month. So, like we talk all the time about these goalies, it is such a roller coaster of performance right now for this very, very few, if any, that can maintain a consistent high level of play. And as a young guy, Dostal has definitely struggled on that. Now, and it's funny that you kind of mentioned the team stuff already, because I was going to throw in there that he plays on a horrible team.
Yeah.
And he's been, in any article you read about him will mention he's getting just peppered with shots. I think the other night against Toronto, he had like 18 or 19 shots in the first period alone. So I mean, we have to factor that into a goalie's performance, right? So how are they measuring goalie? Is there some like adjusted metrics?
There are.
They're starting to come out with.
Yeah, there's adjusted goalie metrics. A lot of math behind them. If you go to Hockey Reference or maybe Quant Hockey, also you'll see them. If you go down to like the advanced stats, they have stuff in there, and I think they have a glossary too on Hockey Reference if you kind of want to see how they calculate it. And I was going to say this too. It's total Minnesota homer take, but I was kind of surprised when you said the franchise record of 55 saves, because I can't remember what year it was, but when the Wild actually made the conference final, and I think it was it Giguere? What's his name? John Sebastian Giguere. Jagr was like a stone wall against the Wild. And I felt like in one of those games, he made 100 saves and just basically beat the Wild by himself. So that was kind of interesting.
Another brutal Minnesota sports moment, which is hundreds. So
yeah, there's hundreds.
Ever wanted to know. The Ducks are terrible. They're 19-33-2. They have 40 points on the season. They're only ahead of San Jose, who has 35 points, and Chicago has 33. They're a -51 in goals differential, Troy, which is third worst in the NHL. Again, to San Jose and Chicago are the only ones worse there. There's a lot of people that like him. Like I've noticed on my card posts and stuff like that. When we post Lucas Dostal cards, we get a lot of trade activity. People have bought them before. I hope he doesn't lose his confidence due to this, because they do have an exciting young core, and in order to become a team that they want, they got to have a young goalie that they can depend on too. And so, it's him and Gibson. I don't think Gibson's doing all that much better, of course, given their record, and probably more so the defense that their team's putting in front of them.
Gibson, is he with them still? They didn't move on. I thought he was with. No,
that's Quick. Quick is in.
I'm thinking Quick. Yep, you're right.
In New York.
Sorry.
All right, Lucas Dostal is a 2022-23 Young Guns, PSA 10 pop 133, 47% gem rate. Last sold for $25 on February 10th. Yeah, yikes. Now, it was selling for about $50 in the first of the year, so it's down about 50% still since then. I guess if you're a Dostal believer, it's always hard to, like, when you don't watch these teams every day, like, I wonder, like, hardcore Ducks fans who have watched every game, if they're like, he's not good, or if they're like, no, he's going to be really good. The team is just hanging him out to dry.
Yeah.
Right now, if that's the case, then man, you can get his cards on the cheap right now, and probably be a good time to pick them up.
I'm gonna say this. I actually like this picture. Maybe I should have used this one for Young Guns pictures that we like or that I
Yeah,
like.
it's a good one. All right. The struggle bus this week, Jake DeBrusk and Lucas Dostal. Got to make a quick mention for Gong Show partner and sponsor Slab Sharks. Of course, we are super grateful to them for their support of our show. Troy, the current Slab Sharks weekly eBay auction is live, so be sure to head to slabsharks.com for a link to the auction to browse all the hockey cards available and place your bids. Like I always do, I did spend some time yesterday on Saturday looking through the auction, and a number of cards stood out to me that I want to highlight for everyone real quickly. So here's just a few of the awesome cards that I found in this week's auction. First one, got to go with our boy Bedsy. 2023-24 O-Pee-Chee Connor Bedard. Diamond Rainbow. Rookie out of 75. Pretty low numbered one. That's a cool card. And whoever listed this one is very smart because, of course, Slab Sharks has a 98% payout rate on all Connor Bedard cards. But I really like the O-Pee-Chee premieres from O-Pee-Chee.
Yep. They look, this year they look, I mean, they've looked good every year, but this year they look really cool.
I have like a teeny tiny complaint on the Bedard.
Oh.
Don't you think, like, because they went kind of with like a red and yellow? And I suppose there is yellow in the Blackhawks logo, but I think red and black would have been.
Well, I'm wondering, they do the red and yellow, and then our brain kind of makes that orange as well.
Yeah,
so
true. There's orange in the feather of the logo as well, too. This next one, Troy, is pretty awesome. It's a 2015-16 The Cup Pavel Bure signature patches out of 99 raw. That patch, it's a ridiculous 4-color Nux patch. Very nice auto. I think he's up there in the top 6 or 7 as far as goals per game for his career too. I didn't realize that until I looked that up this morning doing the Austin Matthews research. You a fan of this card?
Oh yeah, I love this card. Patch looks cool. I love that it's a little bit dirty down here. It looks black, like maybe a puck hit it or something. That's the stuff I
dirty
like.
Patch.
I like dirty patches.
New hobby darling, Troy, 2022-23 SP Authentic, Juraj Slavkovsky, Spectrum FX Black 101.
101, okay.
101 Slavkovsky raw. Very nice looking card.
Looks great. Yeah, looks really nice.
Really cool design. Love the gold foiling on kind of the black, the slate gray background. Probably not black, but next one. Got to give some goalie love here. 2020-21 Exquisite Collection, Ilya Sorokin, 03-04 Tribute RPA out of 25. A lot of Sorokin collectors out there. A really nice patch. And the main reason why I picked this one is because him and Kaprizov, of course, have sticker autos in the cup.
Yes.
So you might prefer that, or you could maybe make the argument that this could be his best RPA if the hard signed auto versus sticker auto. Now I do have sticker auto PTSD though.
Yeah.
It's hard signed. Ever since our PWCC preview last show. Last card, Troy. I had to go the homer route. 2022-23 Upper Deck. Marco Rossi, Young Guns, High Gloss, out of 10, BGS 9.5. Now, any wild collector, so it'd be a big card.
Yeah.
So again, these are just a few of the amazing options available in this week's auction. And if you happen to be a Canadian hockey cards collector and you have a card or a few of them to sell, we would strongly recommend considering Slab Sharks eBay consignment services. They make it very easy to sell your cards because they do all the work for you. They literally take care of everything. You just need to send in your cards or drop them off at their booth at a local card show, and they'll do the rest. Plus, your cards, of course, get listed, and they're very popular and growing weekly eBay auctions. So for complete consignment information, including payout rates, and to get started consigning with your cards with them today, visit slabsharks.com. Hobby News!
Hobby News.
I feel like this is an emotional episode because another emotional story today, we're recording on Sunday, actually before the game, so it hasn't quite happened yet, but huge retirement ceremony. In just a few hours on this beautiful Sunday, where the Pittsburgh Penguins will retire the number 68 of our guy Jaromir Jagr.
Nice.
Long overdue, in my opinion.
Yep.
Do you agree with that?
I agree with that, and it's also long overdue that he's not in the Hall of Fame. Even though I know the rules, I know why he's not, but wave it, and put him in.
It's like Lanny McDonald, right? He's like the one that's
he's like is he the president of the Hockey Hall of Fame or whatever they call it?
It's a family show. I can't think of it. I was going to say he's like the Hall of Fame blank block, but yeah, I can't think of another way to put it. Jagr's 52 years old, young, still trucking along, Troy. He's a professional hockey player in his native Czechia. Now, my question is, he's number 68. He's still playing at 52. Do you think he plays past his number or what?
Not professional, not in the highest league, or I think it's the highest league over in Czechia. I just want to say Czechoslovakia, but I know it's not it now. But no, I think he'll be done playing high-level professional hockey before 68.
Yeah, safe bet. This kind of surprised me. He's only the third player number to ever be retired by the Pittsburgh Penguins. Jagr's 68 will join Mario Lemieux's number 66 and Michel Briere's 21. So it looks like the Penguins are pretty stingy on their numbers, huh?
Well, yeah, and I think is Briere. I just looked him up because I remember the name, but he didn't play.
I didn't know who he was.
So he probably looks like he passed away pretty young, 21 years old. And he passed away in 1971. So I'm guessing that's probably the reason why.
Something to do with that, yeah. Jagr has not only played for a long time, but of course is one of the greatest goal scorers in NHL history. They're point producers too.
Yeah.
Currently second all-time in points with 1,921 points, 766 goals, 1,155 apples. His 766 goals are fourth most all-time. His 1,155 assists are fifth most all-time. He's a two-time Stanley Cup champion in 1991 and 92. Is that not a great picture?
Oh, yeah, that's a great picture.
Watch on YouTube.
I love that picture.
Jagr won the Hart Trophy in 1999 after finishing the 98-99 season with 44 goals, 83 assists for 127 points. Just a five-time Art Ross Trophy winner as well. We could go on, and we will. But I thought, Troy, in honor of Jagr's retirement, we do a little fun facts edition, Jaromir Jagr style. You ready for this?
I'm ready.
So I want you to tell me if you knew any, if these are all new or if you'd heard any of these before.
Okay.
Jaromir Jagr has been teammates with 16 Hall of Famers.
Did not know that.
Paul Coffey, Mario Lemieux, Brian Trottier, Larry Murphy, Ron Francis, Joe Mullen, Adam Oates, Mark Messier, Brian Leach, Eric Lindros, Brandon Shanahan, Chris Pronger, Martin Brodeur, Roberto Luongo, and Henrik Lundqvist. Pretty impressive. This one you've heard of because it was everywhere last week and we had texted back and forth. Jagr has played with or against 38.6% of all players in NHL history.
That's my favorite. I think it might be my favorite stat ever. I love that.
That's crazy. Okay, this next one you gotta kind of stick with, but it's worth it at the end. Jagr's oldest teammate was Brian Trottier, who's born on July 17th, 1956. His youngest teammate was Matthew Tkachuk, born on December 11th, 1997. The age difference between Trottier and Tkachuk is 41 years and 4 months.
That's crazy.
He's had teammates that are 41 years apart. Jagr was drafted 5th overall, 14 spots ahead of Keith Tkachuk. And Jagr was most recently teammates with Keith's son, Matthew.
Nice.
That's kind of wild. In his first season with HC Kladno under 18 team in the former Czech Republic, right?
Yeah.
Jagr finished second on the team with 41 points in 34 games. He was 12.
I did not know that.
That season started.
If you're watching on YouTube, the picture's great. You can kind of see how I've seen pictures of him leaning back like that. So it looks like the picture, his face doesn't look anything like him, I don't think, but it's a great picture.
Jaromir Jagr had 24 points in the 1992 Stanley Cup playoffs as a 20-year-old. He's the youngest player in NHL history to record 20 points in a single postseason. Jagr is one of 4 players to win 4 consecutive Art Ross trophies. The others were Wayne Gretzky, Phil Esposito, and Gordie Howe. Jaromir Jagr has 135 game-winning goals, which is the most in NHL history, 9 ahead of Alexander Ovechkin. Jagr played 155 games in the KHL. If those would have been NHL games, he would have broken the NHL games played record 2 days before his 44th birthday during the 2015-16 season. Jaromir Jagr is one of only 4 skaters, not goalies, because that's a little bit different, in NHL history to play a game at the age of 45. The other 3 were Gordie Howe, who last played at 52 years, 11 days in 1980. Chris Chelios, who played until 48 years, 71 days in 2010. And then Zdeno Chara, who played until 45 years, 319 days in 2022. There's my Jagr fun facts.
I like it.
Now, had you heard any of them besides the percent one?
Yeah, the 38% I've heard. I don't think so. The other ones I don't think I've heard. I was trying to look it up while you're talking. I wanted to know how many empty net goals he had and how he compares to Ovi, but I can't find it. I don't think has that many.
I didn't verify this, but when we were talking about Ovi, somebody chimed in, and I got to look it up, said that Brett Hull refused to score empty net goals.
Oh, really?
Because he didn't want to pad his stats.
That's
interesting.
Respect.
Okay, got to finish out Jagr. A little bit of hobby info. Jaromir Jagr's most notable rookie is the 1990 O-Pee-Chee Premier, number 50 of the PSA 10 Pop 3,659 with a 30% gem rate. Last sold for $142 on February 16th. And if you kind of do the math, 30% gem rate, Pop 3,659, over 12,000 of these have been sent to PSA for grading. It is up about 8% in the past 2 weeks, up 2% in the past 3 months. Okay, so Troy, what effect, if any, does Jagr's number retired have on his long-term hobby legacy? Is it just kind of like one more thing that all adds up to something meaningful in your mind?
It is to me. It's just one more thing. You had to know this was coming. I don't think it does anything unless it makes people remember Jagr and look him up again or look at his cards or anything. But yeah, it just cements his legacy. It's another thing to add to the big bio of all his accomplishments.
There's been a lot of love this weekend. Like you said, he skated with the team yesterday in practice. I'm kind of happy to see him get his due. And he's got like some like weird thing where who knows that we weren't in his shoes and didn't have the experiences he did, but it seems like he's really in his mind, like the Pittsburgh fans still didn't like him. And so he was surprised by, I guess, all the love he's getting. Last question I have for you on Jagr is a tough one. He played for a long time, and we know that a lot of like gaudy numbers and records, that longevity plays a factor. There's no doubt that he was a great player. I mean, it's no doubt whatsoever. Where do you put him though in the pantheon of all-time greats? Like where does his greatness as a player and that longevity intersect? Like, does he deserve to be in the, is he as good of a player as Connor McDavid was?
I think in his prime for sure. He was, I mean, I'm just looking at his stats because I had to remind myself of, he's had a couple or at least one 60-goal season. But yeah, when you take in the longevity, because you got to look at the tail end of his career too, where it's like the last time he got over 60 points, or no, he had 66 points in his third to last season in the NHL, which is pretty impressive.
Well, we don't know what David's going to be like when he's 38 years old either, right? So it's not like apples to apples in that regard.
Yeah, and in his prime, obviously playing now, this is where we get into was he the whatever the second fiddle, the Mario Lemieux. But Jagr to me is an all-time great. I don't know where I put him. Is he top 10, top 5, top 20? I don't know. He's in there somewhere. I just don't know where you put him.
It would be a really interesting debate, maybe a show idea. The greatest Robin of all time. So you have like Draisaitl, McDavid, Yari Curry, and Wayne Gretzky. Jagr and Lemieux.
It's crazy. His shooting percentage for his career is 14% or 13.6%, which is pretty good.
Maybe didn't shoot enough, huh?
Yeah, shoot more.
All right. Very emotional. Jaromir Jagr number retirement. And then from one emotional story to another, Troy. Some are going to be shocked we didn't lead the show with this.
Yeah.
The full face mask has returned to play. Connor Bedard.
Yep.
In a surprising move, I guess. Returned to NHL action Thursday night in a 4-1 loss to the aforementioned Pittsburgh Penguins. Bedard did register an assist in the game. Then he had a goal and assist on Saturday in a 3-2 victory over the Senators. I had no idea he was going to play on Thursday night, Troy. I was actually on Thursday sitting in my office just working away. And then all of a sudden, I swear to God, this happened. I heard angels singing.
Nice.
I'm like, what's that? And I look out the window and my neighbors were dancing in the streets. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Connor Bedard is coming back to play tonight. I knew it right away. It's the only thing that would have made sense.
I love it.
I watched a little bit of his first game back, mainly in the second period. And honestly, Troy, the kid was dominating. Looked just awesome.
Yeah,
I watched.
Shoot, I can't remember who it was. Someone, I think, can't remember if it was the Discord or on an Instagram post or message us about, well, I guess our take on he needs a game or two, kind of aged like old milk.
The rust factor.
Yeah, he seemed to have no rust.
So all's right in the world, Troy. The hobby can breathe easy again.
Yep.
We can all continue filling out our second mortgage applications so we can buy some Series 2 hobby boxes in a couple weeks because Connor Bedard is back.
Well, do you think
when you heard the news, did you get emotional?
I was gonna say, do you think every time he scores a goal, like the hobby boxes go up like $5?
Yeah, maybe.
So if he scores like 10 goals in the next 2 weeks, we're gonna pay $50 more for an O-Pee-Chee hobby box.
Be honest, did you cry when you heard he came back?
No, I did not.
Gosh, heartless. I'm gonna say this too. I want him to keep that shield on full time so he doesn't hurt his face again and have to miss more games. I'm just fine with him wearing the old iTech there.
Yeah, I like that.
Is iTech the only manufacturer of that shield?
No. Bauer makes them. I know for sure. I have a couple Bauers in my closet. Shields.
Oh, humble brag.
Yeah, humble brag. We bought them because everyone thought during the COVID that they were gonna like USA Hockey was gonna make everyone switch, so you had to get them before they would had a run on them. And of course, they didn't.
Well, Troy, from one generational phenom to maybe another.
All right.
Upper Deck signed Michael Misa as an exclusive autograph signer. Now, have you heard of this kid? Do you know who he is?
This isn't Bedard's cousin, right?
No, that's Gavin McKenna.
Okay.
And then there's Macklin Celebrini, who's a kid at Boston College.
Yeah. So I think I've the name's familiar just from reading The Athletic enough, and you look at enough prospect reporting that this name is in there, but I can't.
Learn a little bit more about him.
Yeah, I don't know that much about him.
So Michael Misa, I even looked up the pronunciation. Misa. Misa Jaja Banks. Say the name 5 times, commit it to memory, start saving your money. Just turned 17 years old, Troy, on February 16th. So a couple days ago. Happy birthday to you, Michael Misa. And it was just announced that Upper Deck has signed him to that exclusive auto deal. Now, currently, Misa is playing forward for your Saginaw Spirit of the OHL, Troy, one of your favorite teams. He's in his second season playing for the Spirit. Now, he was able to start playing for them last year at just 15 years old, Troy, after being the 8th player to be granted exceptional status in CHL history. Plot thickens here.
Yeah, they're kind of handing out this exceptional status like candy now. What's going on?
2 years from now, I'll be the 197th player to be granted exceptional status.
Well, I'm just waiting for. I'm sure people have sued in the past. I'm just waiting for like someone to go off the end again and try to sue again and see what happens.
Here's the list of the 7 before him that were granted exceptional status. John Tavares. We all knew that one. Aaron Ekblad.
Yep.
And Sean Day. Didn't really work out. Connor McDavid. Joseph Foligno. That one surprised me.
Yeah, I didn't know that one.
And, of course, Connor Bedard and Shane Wright. Now, In a, I guess, related story, Shane Wright was just granted forever status, allowing him to stay in the CHL until he's 40.
Oh, shots fired. Shots fired. All hate mail to Josh.
Michael Misa, 8th player, granted exceptional status. Last season, as a wee lad, Misa scored 22 goals, added 34 assists for 56 points in 45 games played. This year, through 51 games played, he has 26 goals, 32 assists for 58 points. He's widely expected to be the number 1 overall pick in the 2025 NHL entry draft. Maybe like Shane Wright, though, he'll have a precipitous fall and he'll angrily put on his jersey and spend the next 6 years in the OHL.
No kidding.
We'll see. So I don't know, Troy. Do you think we should check in on 2025-26 Series 2 presale pricing now, or?
Well, I'm sure David Adams is creating.
David Adams sold out.
Yeah, they're creating the 15 emails they need to send out already. That you better get it before it sells out.
Your Michael Misa young guns. Well, Michael Misa might be one to watch. So there you go. All right, this is like a chock full hobby news today, Troy.
Yeah.
Last story, we have more Fanatics and Topps trading card innovations. So 2024 Topps Series 1 Baseball was just released this week. Big week, I guess, in the baseball card world. Already seen a couple of interesting additions or innovations to the set. The first one, Topps stamped first card on the very first base card to roll off the presses for each player in the set. So that card has the distinction of being the first one produced. And I guess then is a de facto 101, right? You like that move? Is it interesting to you, or is it just gimmicky?
It's interesting from an innovation standpoint that they're trying something new and trying to see if this catches. To me personally, I don't care about this. This doesn't do it for me. To me, it's gimmicky personally, but I like that they're trying this just to see if it sticks. If the hobby takes it, then they know they came up with a good idea. If not, maybe just let it fall by the wayside. But I don't want to step on anything, but I like what they're trying. They're trying things. This is kind of the theme we've been seeing.
Yeah, I've been very impressed with the creativity, and you can't expect everything to work, but I like anything to make base cards more interesting.
Yeah.
Or more of a chase. And we'll kind of get to another idea in mailbag, but I'm pro them. I would probably sell it. I mean, I don't think I would covet and PC a card like that forever. Would you like to see Upper Deck do something? Because base cards, they just get pitched usually, right?
Yeah. I guess if it took off from the Fanatics and baseball side, maybe Upper Deck tries it and see if it sticks for hockey. Again, for me personally, it doesn't do anything for me. But yeah, I would say not right now. Don't do it. But if it does take off on another sport, maybe it's something to look at.
I did a quick look yesterday. I didn't look today. I couldn't find any for sale on eBay that had sold or for sale on eBay. They said there's like anywhere between 900 and 1 million base cards. So it's literally 1 out of 1 million card that you're hitting essentially if you get one of these. It's kind of crazy. Then next, Troy, Topps, I think, did a very fun photo variation of Phillies players cards. They did a collaboration with Kevin Hart. Michael Rubin, the CEO of Fanatics, is like friends with every celebrity on earth. So I'm not sure. I'm not surprised he was able to pull this off. But the diminutive comedian appears in a photobomb variations with a tiny picture of himself. I think a number of Philadelphia Phillies cards that are all numbered to 52. These are Easter eggs, so they're not on the checklist. Kevin Hart, you say, well, what's the connection? How does this make sense? Kevin Hart is from Philadelphia, so he's a Phillies fan. And then if you're wondering why the cards are out of 52, it's because Kevin Hart stands just 5 feet 2 inches tall.
That's kind of funny.
Very fun Easter egg and kind of a crazy design too. We didn't have that in our notes, but what do you think of the Topps baseball design for 2020?
Oh, this looks cool. Is this the regular base? I didn't know. Is this the regular base card? Yeah, it's pretty cool. This whole Kevin Hart thing, it blows my mind that these even made it, that they did these. I was thinking the hockey side, you'd have Toronto, and you'd have Bieber, if you could get him. Then you'd have Justin Bieber, and that would anger probably 80% of the hockey card collectors. But again,
they would put Bieber over you on Toronto?
Yeah, I think so. I think Bieber's probably got me beat on Toronto. But again, just trying things, seeing if it sticks. It's interesting. Trying to mesh that entertainment, the celebrity with sports. I don't fault him for trying. Again, it's nothing, not me. Because I think a Philadelphia fan would like this, or maybe if you're a Philadelphia fan and a Kevin Hart fan, this is right up your alley. But it's going to be a very niche collector that wants these, I think.
Mm-hmm. Good on Topps and Fanatics for continuing to innovate, though. I think that it kind of, and I think there is a trickle effect down to all the other manufacturers. It's probably Upper Deck fired up to try some new stuff too.
Yeah, I mean, that's why we bring these stories up, is just think about Upper Deck, and even Leaf does hockey too. All the other, hockey cards. What can these people kind of learn or take from this?
We're going to move on, Troy. We're going to go back to some Hobby Grail Gretzky rookie talk. We had huge news on our last show that one of the two 1979 Topps Wayne Gretzky rookie PSA 10s have been put up for sale in the PWCC fixed price marketplace. Asking price is $1.8 million US with offers accepted. And in case you're a researcher and you want to figure out which one of the two, the Topps PSA 10 at PWCC has a cert number that begins 0637. Has not sold yet, of course. I'm sure it'll be there for a while. It's not like Trump change or anything to take the plunge on one of these, of course. So that was big news. It was like, wow, these cards like never sell. You never hear them move. They just kind of sit there at the top of the all-time sales reports. Well, we had another collector feed us some info in the Gongshow tip line, Troy. And when it looks like the other 1979 Topps Wayne Gretzky Rookie PSA 10 was not only for sale, it's sold.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as straightforward as like buying on PWCC, so you're gonna have to stick with us a little bit.
Yeah.
But just for posterity's sake, that Gretzky rookie has a certain number that begins 5002. So this card, since 2021, has been living on a fractional ownership platform called Rally. It was offered at a valuation of $800,000 US with 20,000 shares at $40 per share. So you could spend for every $40 you spent, you got one share of one of the 20,000 shares of this card. Prior to being listed on Rally, it had last sold for $720,000 US in December 2020. So basically, and I think it was put in Rally in like February 2021. So whoever bought it by Heritage in December, within a month or two, had listed it to this fractional ownership site, Rally. Within the Rally platform, Troy, there's an option for one person to make an offer and buy out all the shares. Basically, they make a per share offer price, where then all the shareholders of that card would vote. And if the consensus is yes, then the entirety of the shares are sold to a single person, and the card essentially becomes the property of that person.
I was going to say, I think they have 48 hours to get the voting done, is what I thought I saw. But to me, doesn't that seem really short?
Kind of, yeah.
But so maybe I'm wrong there, but you can read up. If you're looking at YouTube, we have the screen up on that Rally platform. At the bottom, there's a what about the buy, or what's a buyout, learn about buyouts. If you go to that site, you can click on that and it gives you a lot more info.
So somebody made an offer at $46 per share and it was accepted. So they had to buy all 20,000 shares at $46, which is a grand total of $920,000 US, and basically bought the card off of the Rally fractional ownership platform. So again, it's not the traditional collector A owns the card and sells it to collector B, but it did happen. And so yeah, it's kind of came as a shock to me. Had you even ever heard of Rally, Troy?
I know when we talked about it, I was like, I don't know what this Rally platform is, but we've heard of different fractional platforms or the concept. And I'm wondering if we've heard it in passing, but it was really interesting to see. And I don't know if you get into this, but the concept to me is really interesting. It's just something different. That's kind of interesting about it.
It was like a pandemic thing.
Yeah.
It seemed like like these companies were popping up left and right when people just wanted to throw money at everything in any sort of way. And I honestly didn't know, because it wasn't like Liquid Marketplace or something like that, another one, or
Sounds like
Rip
that was one.
or yeah, I don't know, but my kind of assumption is that all these had kind of gone away. And Rally, though, the little bit we kind of looked into it after we
Yeah.
were alerted to the sale, is not just sports cards. They have some sports cards, some really big ones, but they have like Ferraris and Lamborghinis and jewelry, books, comic books,
Mickey Mantle rookies.
yeah, game used, like Jordan jerseys, tons of stuff,
Comic books.
comic books. What do you think about this fractional ownership? It's not something I would ever do, but I understand, I guess, the principle and the appeal of it,
Yeah.
but it doesn't really appeal to me. Does it? Is it interesting to you?
I don't know if I would do it, but it's interesting to me because it allows you at a cheaper price to just get in on this card for your budget. Like, no, a lot of people can't afford 800,000 or 920,000, but a lot of people can afford $40 a share or whatever they were offering it for, to buy a piece when it came out. It's a very interesting concept, and as long as the platform is regulated and all that stuff, and you can get transparency from them, it's a really interesting idea that I think it makes sense that I mean, to me, it should grow. But I don't. I'm curious to see what are the bad stories about these type of platforms.
So it's what, 15% increase in 4 years. I don't know, would the stock market even have done that? Probably not, right?
Oh, I bet so. In the last 4 years?
Yeah, it's been pretty good this year.
Oh yeah, I bet it has.
The other thing I was thinking about when it comes to like cards like this, like literally hobby grails, and you talk about like a Mickey Mantle rookie too.
Mhm.
Does it bug you that these cards are put on platforms like this? Because there's like I can't even decide which one I align with the most. In one hand, it's like, man, this card should be owned by a collector, not on some weird stock market type fractional ownership
Yeah.
platform. But then on the other hand, like you said, it gives people even to own a tiny percentage of a Gretzky rookie PSA 10. It gives you the opportunity to do that. What do you think about like literally the most important cards in a niche of the hobby, like the Gretzky rookie to hockey? Does it
Well,
bug you that it's on a platform like this?
it doesn't bug me, and it kind of. You let me know if I'm not making sense, but it seems like it's almost the best of both worlds, right? You let a lot of people be able to get a piece of it, but at the end of the day, one collector can get it if they want it. They can make the offer and buy it out and get it for themselves. So I think it offers to a wide spectrum of collectors and hobbyists, but it doesn't bother me that it's on this platform.
Okay, when we get into the hobby impact now, so remember this exact card had sold in 2020 at Heritage for 720 and now basically sold for 920.
Yep.
What is that? 4 years later. So that's a 28% increase over its prior sale. And I want to kind of tie in the other one at PWCC for a minute that's asking double this, essentially 1.8. It's really important to, with vintage, we talk about all the time, you have to buy the card and not the grade. And that
Yep.
holds true for these two cards and even the pair of PSA 10 O-Pee-Chee. You and I did this, and I would strongly recommend everyone do this. Go
Yep.
find pictures of both of them and do a comparison. They are not the same cards.
Nope.
And there's a lot of differences. In particular, the one that we're talking about today that sold that rally is much more off-centered than the one that's for sale at PWCC. But you can go make your own distinction there. That being said, though, Troy, that's a nuance that most of the hobby is just going to see the grade and see 920,000. And in my mind, this has to hurt for whoever owns the other one at PWCC in their hopes of getting 1.8 million.
Yes, and I was going to say something, but I want to save it for mailbag because we have a mailbag question that person brings up a really good point. I think it's on this mailbag. It wasn't last mailbag about that new or the found box, the hobby or the case.
Yeah.
But that was O-Pee-Chee, so maybe that doesn't concern the tops, but yeah, I think the 1.8.
Well, that's over 2 million now. So again, there's
Okay.
a 0% chance of getting a PSA 10 out of that. So I'd much rather spend 900 grand on a Topps PSA
Yeah.
10 then that.
Well, we'll say
case,
0.1% chance. There's always a chance.
there's always a chance. So you're saying there's a chance.
Unless you're the conspiracy, right? And think there's no way PSA or whoever they graded with, or PSA, let's say PSA, it's going to give another 10 out there.
Well, now we need a Gretzky Bonanza to start. And we need to see
Yep.
these O-Pee-Chees starting to move now, Troy. But
Yeah.
we just had to talk about it again because, again,
Yeah.
it can be years and years before you see these cards move. So
Strike while the iron's hot.
Oh, and I guess the last thing we should mention too is that on none of the platforms was this a sale. So it wasn't on Card Ladder, it wasn't on, I don't think, on Market Mover or anything like that.
We should reach out to Card Ladder and just ask them if this is even on their radar, if that's something they've known
That's
about.
a great idea. We will do that, but right now, Troy, we're going to jump into new product releases.
All right.
The checklist for the forthcoming 2022-23 O-Pee-Chee Platinum is out. The set is scheduled to release on February 28th, otherwise known as the final release prior to Ballardapalooza, which is a week later when Series 2 comes out, of course.
I'm telling you, if I had this button bar, every time we said Bedard, I'm going to make some crazy graphic and loud noise and everything. So everyone just imagine.
I'm going to start holding my breath, Troy.
Just imagine me doing that right now. Everyone, thanks.
Do you think you will get the button bar before Gongshow 500? Because it'd be great. It's such a momentous episode.
I hope so. Yeah. I hope so.
Okay, so the checklist, as we said, is out. We're going to roll through the highlights and cover some of the designs as well. We got lots of pictures of the cards. Kept Troy busy.
How'd you get all these pictures? Did you go to the Facebook? They put them on there?
Yeah, secrets, Troy. Secrets. Yeah, I did. I went to Facebook. All right. So O-Pee-Chee Platinum, if you're not familiar, is the chromium cousin to O-Pee-Chee set, where both share basically the same card designs, while O-Pee-Chee Platinum does have some unique inserts to it. Now, we're not that Platinum is really known for its inserts. It's mainly known for parallels and retros. I guess retros would be the most sought after insert in O-Pee-Chee Platinum. It's a set, Troy, that's mainly chased for its rookie autos and parallels, both base or for both base and autos. That doesn't make sense. So yeah, rookie, it's base cards, parallels, autos. Honestly, I can't even think of a Platinum insert that's really been much of a big chase ever. Can you? I mean, is there like a... You're on mute. The streak is alive.
Yep, streak is alive. I went to a couple shows without a mute streak, I don't think. But no, there's nothing off the top of my head I can be like, oh yeah, that's the insert that everyone wants out of O-Pee-Chee Platinum.
We probably should mention too that anyone newer to the hobby that's listening or watching, you'll hear us often refer to like the regular O-Pee-Chee as paper.
Yep.
And then O-Pee-Chee Platinum is platinum. It's kind of shortened vernacular that you'll hear. So for 2022-23 O-Pee-Chee Platinum, Troy, there are 6,325 unique cards on the checklist. In theory, too, another plus for O-Pee-Chee Platinum is all autos are normally hard signed. You know, normally, again, talk about PTSD there. So we'll have to see if any stickers pop up when the set is out. The base set has 200 vets and 100 rookies. So, I mean, think about 6,325 unique cards with the 200 vet and 100 rookie base set. Lots of parallels at O-Pee-Chee Platinum. The base set for 2022-23 Platinum has a big number of parallels, 15 in total.
Okay.
So we're going to start with the unnumbered parallels and give the pack odds. Not going to give them, there's different parallels often for vets and marquee rookies. The vets are usually a little easier hit. The rookies are what most people cares about. So we're just going to give the pack odds for the rookies. All numbered cards have the same print runs between vets and rookies when it comes to base cards. So good to know there. So you have the Rainbow Parallel, which is 1 in 6 hobby packs. Neon Surge, 1 in 6 blaster. I do like how Upper Deck creates unique cards between retail and hobby for Platinum. That's a plus in my mind. Then you have Sunset, which is 1 in 12 packs. Matte Pink, 1 in 18. Hot Magma is back, Troy. Hot Magma,
okay.
$4.99. My least favorite part of O-Pee-Chee Platinum are these stupid parallels, I call them. Now, this one's kind of cool. I'll admit, I dig this. It's a new parallel this year. They didn't get rid of any parallels. They added one more new one. Liquid Metal. out of 349. If you're watching on YouTube, they have a Matt Boldy rookie. It's kind of interesting, huh? Do you like that or no?
I would want to see it in person, but it reminds me of Terminator 2 when
Yeah,
the
that is
guy like morphs into the liquid
metal
metal and
guy.
goes through the prison bars.
Violet Pixels is back at out of 299. Red Prism out of 199. And one of my least favorite cards in all sports cards is the Aquamarine. I hate hockey players in a fish tank card.
I thought they
Sorry.
got rid of those last year.
They're back.
I have to do some
149.
research. Yell at me if I'm missing pictures. I could have swore they got rid of those, but that's me.
Then you got Arctic Freeze, which actually makes a little bit more sense in hockey at out of 99. Cosmic is back, Troy, out of 65. There's your next image. Little hard to I bet these look way better in person than they do in pictures. Then you've got the hobby exclusive orange checkers out of 25, Emerald Surge out of 10, and then Golden Treasures out of 101.
Golden Treasures look cool.
Yeah. Now, what I would say of all these 15, in my opinion, the hobby staples are, and like the most like quote unquote like investable ones would be the Red Prism out of 199, which I think is one of my favorite value cards in all the hobby. The Seismic Gold out of 50, one of the biggest cards in all the hobby. Orange Checkers out of 25, Emerald Surge out of 10, and then Golden Treasures 101. So to me, those are like the, what is that? 1, 2, 3, the 5 staples out of the 15. Do you agree or disagree with that list?
I agree with you on that. I gotta say this before it goes away. Aquamarine was not in last year's O-Pee-Chee Platinum. I knew they got rid of it, but they're bringing it back. It looks like
couldn't help themselves.
Couldn't help. We always called it the SpongeBob SquarePants one. Yeah. So let me know if I'm wrong. If someone sees that they were, but I'm looking at the 21-22 checklist, and I do not see Aquamarine.
15 parallels is nuts. You think about it.
It's nuts, but it's like it always reminds me of Panini, right? Panini always has thousands of parallels, and they're always crazy. But I guess it's okay. I guess if you have a product, what else does Artifacts have a ton of parallels?
Yeah, 1 million. I think Artifacts is like the record.
So I'm okay if there's 2 or 3. We've seen more coming though. Like a lot of products are getting like when you did the tier overviews and you get the tiered and the levels and all that stuff. So they're trying to create more scarcity, but the way to do it right now is to add parallels.
There's 15 parallels in 2022-23, which largely nobody cares about. What's the over-under and the parallels in the 2023-24 Platinum set?
Oh, I don't know.
You know they're adding more, right?
Yeah.
You know they're doing it. I'm going to say over-under. I'm putting at 17.5.
Okay.
Would you take the over-under there?
I'll go with the over.
Okay. All right, moving on. Now there's also base autos and then parallels to those that are, a lot of people chase the autos in O-Pee-Chee Platinum. There are base vet autos. It's a blue rainbow parallel. So there you'll find like that's like McDavid, Matthews, and McCarr to name a few. I also on the checklist, Troy, noticed that there's a base auto of Carey Price. And there's no legends in O-Pee-Chee Platinum this year. I'm like, how is he? Is he still technically in the league? Has he not officially retired? He hasn't played a game since April of 2022.
Yeah, I think he still is in the league, if I remember right. I thought I saw an article recently, kind of just what is going on. Is he still injured? Is he on long-term injured reserve?
Yeah, maybe just like getting his paycheck. But at some point, if you're Upper Deck, when do you stop making cards?
Well, that's a big market, Montreal.
Yeah, and he's got a big hobby following.
He's got a following, yeah, for sure.
Now that there are, when it comes to the rookie autos, there's a number of rookies on the checklist for each parallel. It ranges between 48 and 52 typically. You have to look if there's a particular parallel that you love to make sure that your favorite player is on there. We'll start with just like the base auto design, and that I think Upper Deck provided a Brandt Clark there. I am typically not a fan of, this is not a new take, but I actually in O-Pee-Chee Platinum prefer non-auto cards.
Hmm. I
That
actually
being
don't.
that being
Okay,
said,
keep going.
I like how they did the auto this year because they put the auto lower on the card. Like normally what they would do is like right at the player's midsection, they would
Hmm.
like white out or put like dead in the that make the surface not chrome,
Yep.
and it kind of ruins the picture, ruins the sheen of the card. But I really like the way they did it this year, and so I actually one of the first years I don't mind the autos. What are your thoughts?
Agree with you. I like how this looks. I actually like Brant Clark's autograph too. I think it's kind of neat. Update: Carey Price is on long-term injured reserve. He
Mhm.
makes 10.5 million a year, and he's through contract through 24. Sorry, 25, 26. So,
Crazy.
and I don't think you can buy out a guy that's on long-term injured reserve, if I remember right.
Okay, back to the autos though. So there's 15 parallels for base, and this I think is almost even more shocking because of the amount of cards these guys would have to
Yeah.
sign. There's 10 auto parallels of just the
Yes.
base.
Yep.
So you have rainbow, which are 1 in 100 packs, right? These you have to see in hand to really appreciate,
Yeah.
but they're going to look very similar in photos to the base. Then you have blue tracks, which are 1 in 120 packs. Matte pink, 1 in 216 pack odds. The rest are numbered. So you have violet pixels out of 99. This is a cool card, in my opinion.
Yeah. I like these.
I
Always look
like the
cool.
violet pixels. Cosmic. Now these next are a little weird. So Cosmic is either out of 35 or 65. And then you have Red Prism, which depending on the player is out of 35 or 50. So in theory, you're going to have Cosmic cards that are out of 35 and Red Prism cards that are out of 35.
I don't like that. Even
I
though
don't either.
it's super easy to tell the difference.
And
Usually
it's
I like the number because it shows you which one when you're looking at a big checklist, you can figure it out, but I still don't like them.
these Seismic Gold autos are out of 25 per usual. Those I got a feeling these are going to look really nice in hand. Then you have Orange Checkers out of 15. I've never been the biggest fan of Orange Checkers. I mean, it's a super tough card, of
Yeah.
course, but orange is kind of a weird parallel color to me. And then, of course, you got Golden Treasures 101, which are pretty awesome.
Yeah. Those are
Yeah,
cool.
that looks great. Now, the going to inserts a little bit, the biggest one, of course, is the retros. You have base and parallels, of course. Very popular subset within O-Pee-Chee Platinum. There's autos as well, which we'll cover. On the retros checklist, Troy, there's 50 vets and 50 rookies.
Okay.
So the parallels are going to include for the base, there's a rainbow, which is 1 in 12. There's a pink pulsar. It's a
Yeah.
cool looking card.
Yeah.
That's 1 in 120, and this is a retail exclusive. So
Okay.
blasters. You have blue rainbow, which is out of 199. This card is awesome.
Yeah. That looks cool.
I love this card. The Connor McDavid is our example on YouTube. That's on a 199. Purple Houndstooth. I've always kind of been a Houndstooth guy. Now I've stared at this picture for way too long. These are out of 15.
What's purple?
I'm gonna tell you the name again. Where's the purple? Is it the teeth are purple, or again, it could just be the photo. Have to see one in
Yeah,
hand.
I'm guessing it's a photo, maybe the lighting or something.
You a fan of the retro design this year? Just like the
Oh yeah. Yeah, I like the
I
retros.
I
I
always
usually
like
like,
retros.
yeah.
And then of course there's another Golden Treasures 101, which is hobby only. There's retro
Oh,
autos for both vets and rookies. So the retro vet autos are Red Rainbow, which is that next card, Troy.
all right.
That's
I got
1 in
confused.
192 pack odds. These look really nice, in my opinion.
Hmm.
Again, I think they put the auto in a really smart
Yeah.
place.
Great,
The
great
design.
spot. Great spot where they put it.
And then rookie autos are the same. So for retros, so it's Red Rainbow again. 1 in 192 pack odds. I think as well. Yeah, so Arbor Jack example there. Looks really nice too. For posterity's sake, we'll cover a couple of the inserts really quick. There's photo driven. That's 1 in 2 hobby odds. They do have a Golden Treasures 101 parallel, also an autoed version, 1 in 576 pack odds. Looks pretty cool. Galvanized is a new insert. Same sort of configuration as Photo Driven Troy. Base 1 in 4 pack odds. There's a 1 in 1 Golden Treasures parallel, and then an autoed version with 1 in 576 pack odds.
I like the different pictures on the auto versus the base. I'm glad they did that.
There's a rookie insert, Sweet Selections. Base odds 1 in 3.3 pack odds. Again, Golden Treasures 1 in 1 parallel, and auto version 1 in 576 pack odds. There's also, I couldn't find pictures or much information, but this intrigues me. There's a 40 card set of O-Pee-Chee Premier variants in Platinum. I don't remember those before, but I'm really excited. There's no odds or anything, no photos, but kind of excited to see what those are about. So right now you can pre-order 2022-23 Platinum here in the US. Try David Adams for about $190 US. In Canada, Close and Chara pre-orders are running at $250 Canadian. It's got to be close to equivalent, I would assume.
Whoops. I put the wrong picture up. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's pretty close to what, $250 Canadian.
Yeah.
Hobby boxes have 12 packs, 12 cards per pack. As far as like what you can expect per hobby box, you get 1 auto, 1 retro rainbow parallel, 5 numbered base set parallel cards, 6 retros. All right, Troy, there you go. What's your thoughts on 2022-23 O-Pee-Chee Platinum?
As long as they fix kind of the production issues that plagued the last release, I like it. I've been a fan of it. I just didn't really buy any last release because of the production stuff and the wild off centers and miscuts.
Least amount of Platinum I've ever bought.
Yep.
I was out after like 1 hobby box.
Yep.
Okay, Troy, not a show can go by without a 2023-24 O-Pee-Chee hobby price update. As collectors flock to their local card shops and online retailers to gobble up 2023-24 O-Pee-Chee boxes and chase Connor Bedard rookies, Troy, the prices keep moving on up. I always think of moving on up to the east side. It feels like a game right now, Troy. It's like, we should call it guess today's price of O-Pee-Chee.
I'm telling you, every goal Bedard scores, it goes up $5.
You're not far off there. Since our last show, at David Adams, O-Pee-Chee hobby boxes have hit another price high, now selling for just $140 US. That's a $10 price increase. Prices are creeping up in Canada as too, Troy. It's been a $10 Canadian increase since our last show as well at Klaus and Chara. So that's up to what, 160 Canadian now. So we're about 2.5 weeks until the Series 2 release. I kind of can't wait to see what happens with this with pricing here. I have 2 potential theories. You tell me which one's more likely. Theory 1, we see maybe 1 more price increase, and then Series 2 comes out and demand dies down and price comes back down again. Theory 2, because Series 2 is so darn expensive that it actually moves collectors to keep buying O-Pee-Chee hobby boxes as a cheaper Bedard alternative, and the price kind of stays flat at about eventually settles at like $150 US. What do you think is more likely? You're mute.
Dang it. Twice in one show. That might be a new record. I think number 1's the more possible one that's going to happen. I think with pre-sales of Series 2 and how those went kind of gangbusters, I think people are still going to gobble up Series 2, even though it's going to be expensive. So I think they'll gobble up Season 2 and demand will kind of die down on O-Pee-Chee paper. But that doesn't mean I do think O-Pee-Chee paper will probably see another price increase.
Well, in related news too, Troy, maybe this will factor how much you spend on Series 2 because we have pre-sale pricing for 2023-24 SP Authentic starting at $500 US at David Adams. Okay, here's the thing with this. Now we got to get like real talk time here on the Gong Show podcast here. If you don't hit a Connor Bedard Future Watch in one of these boxes, how big is the list of other cards that you could possibly hit where that would actually pay for one of these boxes?
Very small. We should win the checklist drops, we should look and see if we can take our best guesstimate on how many other cards could get you the box price back.
Because that would be like really deflating. And I guess I don't know. Do you think like a Logan Cooley Future Watch? I'm not talking the inscribed ones. It would be. I don't see it over $500. I mean, it probably $400 or $500 range out the. But that's crazy. Like if you, I mean, hitting like a Fantilli or a Leo Carlson and not even or barely breaking even on the box is.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's getting to the point, Troy, where it almost doesn't even make sense.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to say that, right? Because it would be such a fun chase at $200 a box or something like what it is for. I just don't. I mean, because and we talked a little bit about this on the phone last night. It's to the point where you have to look at it like, okay, am I going to spend $500 on a box and get an $11 Future Watch? And that's the most. We just got to be honest, right? That's the most likely result. That's what's always happened to us. Yes, you may get a Connor Bedard and be really, really lucky and jackpot winner chicken dinner, but that's a big entry fee to that raffle.
Yeah.
If you look at it that way, $500 ticket. Where how many really ridiculously awesome cards could you find at a great, even graded PSA 10 for $500 on the secondary market, and at the end of the day end up with a really awesome card? Because 98% of people, 98 out of 100 that spend $500 in this box are going to get killed.
Yep. Agree.
So I don't know, maybe it's a breaking product, maybe it's a stash product. I just don't know if I would open this box.
But if it's a breaking product too, I mean, think about that though. I mean, what did the Bedard spot have to go for? And then
well, I think the way most breakers are treating Bedard,
they're
is
raffling or random the Blackhawks. Yeah, I gotcha.
But we talked last night about this, and I think we're both in agreement that as of today, we're out.
Yep, I'm out.
And what are the odds it's still $500 by the time this comes out?
Yeah.
When's the anticipated July? Does it say July 3rd?
July 3rd is what they have tentatively.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's getting to the point where it's just craziness.
Just go get 22. Go get 22, 23 if you're.
Well, yeah, as a comparison, you can get this year, the most recent release, 2022-23 SP Authentic, a hobby box right now for $125. So we're, as of today, at a 4-for-1.
Yep.
It's like, if I would assume the odds of making your money back buying 4 2022-23s are much higher than buying one 2023-24. Now that your guy Slavkovsky is rocking.
Well, I was when we were doing that, I was thinking about Slavkovsky. It's like I'm curious to watch now the 22-23 SP and see because now if you really want, I mean, it might be a good idea to buy a couple if you want to rip it and have fun or go buy it on the secondary market if they want the single. But if this was at $99, I think I'd put an order in right now.
I just want to know where the hobby's going to stop. So, and again, I wouldn't be surprised at anything. So, do pre-sales sell out at 500 and they raise it to 650 or something?
Well, do you notice they do have a limit, 6 per order or something that says max 6 per person. So I'm curious if they know the demand's going to be there, so they're putting that limit on just so more people can get it, or what?
How many collectors have this deep of pockets too? I mean,
true.
$500 for a box of cards is a lot of dough.
Did you on the product highlights? I just noticed this. It says 1 Future Watch rookie auto, and there's some more details. So do you know if there's another auto? Because last year you had 2 autos.
I thought they were moving away from that because of
they're moving
all
away?
the problems.
Okay,
don't quote me on that, but
yeah,
I don't know.
Okay.
Holy moly, Troy! $500.
Yeah, it's a lot. I'm out for now.
Yeah, we'll see. All right. Before we get to our record mailbag, which we'll talk about in a second, make a very quick mention for our partner and sponsor, PWCC. Of course, we are grateful to them as well for their support of our show. The February PWCC Premier Auction is live. Of course, 8 amazing hockey cards we've covered already. Ends this upcoming Thursday night. So whether you're in the market for a O-Pee-Chee Gretzky rookie PSA 9, maybe McDavid the Cup True RPA, they have McDavid, Ovechkin, Crosby Future Watch Autos, that McKinnon Rookie Auto Shield we talked about. Some really incredible cards, of course, in this month's Premier Auction, like you would expect. So go to pwccmarketplace.com, check those out. If you don't prefer auctions, then you can check out their fixed price marketplace where there's over 5,000 hockey cards, Troy. Some okay ones like a 79 Topps Gretzky PSA 10.
Pretty good.
Oh, and then finally, there's the weekly auction live as well. Over 350 cards. That keeps kind of building every week now. In the current auction, you and I will pick out our favorite vintage and modern cards in the current weekly auction to highlight on Thursday's show. So again, whether it's Premier Auction, Fixed Marketplace, weekly auction, you can find them all at pwccmarketplace.com. Mailbag time. Record mailbag. Holy moly. We're going to have to try to be efficient. Otherwise, this will be like a 12-hour show.
Yeah, I think I might have ran out of tabs on my... No, they're there, but I was like, I wonder how much memory I'm using in Chrome tabs right now.
The most mailbag questions ever. So thank you, everyone, for submitting questions. A lot of great ones this week. All right, right off the bat, a good one. Discord, you're McKinnon Me Nervous, one of the better names I've ever seen. He said, it would be interesting to see the arc of a price for a base or not too short print and rookie as it comes out and is hyped versus down the road like 3 weeks or 3 months to see when a reasonable amount of time passes to be the best time to buy one. It may not apply to Bedard, but in general, it'd be a good measuring stick so you can stay calm on release day FOMO. You're totally on the right track. My guess is it's around 2 months was usually, and it is. I don't know, though, if there's a way that you could do like a study on it, because there's a huge variable that gets entered in the equation for these rookies, and it's really a combined factor of, are they playing in the NHL, and then how well are they playing in the NHL? If after a couple months, when the sort of the initial hoopla and hype dies down, and the kid's got 3 goals versus 30, there's going to be a huge difference in what's happened in the market value of that card. But in general, I would say if you wait a couple months, then you're going to kind of get over that initial release day kind of excitement and hype and hoopla. Anything to add to that?
No, I agree with you. I was trying to think, there probably is some way you could do this if you kind of bucketed rookie groups into like guys that are in the top 4 rookie scores, and then the other guys that are not. But it would be a lot of work and a lot of back end on it. But yeah, generally, I think you're about right on the general feeling of what this is.
Okay, our next question is a really long one. How do we condense this one, Troy? Oh, I already did.
You did.
He basically went. You got to help me on this one. Broadway Blue Shirts. It's a great question. He talks about kind of the difference comparing PSA 10s to BGS 10s, and goes through a lot of like examples, especially like 80s cards, like older ones where the pop counts were a lot lower, where you see a big difference in value between the PSA 10 and BGS 10 because the pop counts are so stark. And I think he made a comparison to more modern cards where gem rates are a lot higher and there isn't quite the difference. And I think the crux of his question goes back to where we've been talking a lot about the Gretzky O-Pee-Chee PSA 9s that are pop 93. Yep. And then versus the pop 10 that are the PSA 10 pop PSA 10s that have a pop 2. And then, a card that doesn't get mentioned a lot is when you talk about the O-Pee-Chee Gretzky rookie, there is a BVG 10 that I've never seen come up for sale. And I think he's trying to wonder, like, well, how would that correlate? What would the value of that be? Which to me, Troy, is a really almost impossible answer, as much as I would love to, in that because it's never sold and where Beckett is at. Now, the Beckett 10 pristine grade does have a certain cachet to it. I wouldn't be surprised I don't think it would sell less than a PSA 10. I guess I wouldn't be surprised if it sold for about at what the O-Pee-Chee PSA 10 does, or even more.
Interesting.
Did I articulate that well enough?
Yeah, you follow this question a lot better. I'm just not smart enough to, to follow the whole question. So good thing you figured it out.
Okay, Discord, 2 cent hockey cards. He says a few questions regarding redemptions. First, what does Upper Deck do with unredeemed cards, meaning after the redemption period has expired? Are they destroyed? Or are they inserted in future products? Second, does UD keep track of how many cards are redeemed? And is that information public? Example, if there are 299 copies of a redemption card, do we know that 220 were redeemed? I don't think there's a listen, we like Upper Deck. They're great people, but as far as like record keeping and as far
Hmm.
as it's not their thing, I don't think, or maybe they don't
It might be
have to
internal if they keep
couldn't
some.
do it or it's internal. They don't make it public. They keep a lot of that stuff kind of secret. So I don't think that I've never seen this public information. I don't know exactly know what they do with unredeemed cards. My best guess though, Troy, is that they use them as replacement cards. So if you send in a card that's damaged or you send in a redemption that is expired or something like that. I don't know. I
That, and
actually
I
don't know
bet,
what they do.
well, I was gonna say too, I bet they also keep them. And sometimes we've heard of people getting redemptions honored even after the expiration date because they probably have the card still and they look at them. This one I've put a note, just this is something to ask when we have
Yeah.
another interview with Upper Deck, and maybe one of the product managers that we interview will know this.
Mhm. All right, next one, Discord Blade Visionary. Have you guys considered visiting the new mega card store in Atlanta, Cards HQ? What are your thoughts of the card store of the future? Question mark. Was wondering if you thought a mega hockey card memorabilia store with the same brick and mortar strategy and online presence would be successful in any state or province. You want to take a first stab at this one, Troy?
Sure. Yes, I would definitely go check this out. I've thought about it, and it really comes down to sometimes I actually have to travel to Atlanta for work. So if I do have to go to Atlanta, I can definitely tell you I'm going to make a stop at this place because I know it's Jeff Wilson. People love him, some people hate him, whatever. But all the pictures of the actual store and what they're doing and the layout make it look like a really nice concept. And it looks like it's set up pretty cool. I would say if I was opening a hobby shop, I would definitely borrow some of these ideas. I think it's a more modern take on what a card shop should be. Now, going to the hockey specific stuff, I don't think anywhere in the US could support a truly only hockey card slash memorabilia store. Maybe Minnesota or New York City, you might have a shot, but like we've said many times, hockey cards in Minnesota, you think we're the state of hockey? And then you go to a card show and there's not much hockey some of the times. Canada, a whole different story. I think you could definitely succeed with a hockey only, like the mega hockey card slash memorabilia store in Canada. I don't know what province, probably Ontario, Toronto, around Montreal.
Mhm.
But the US would be tough, I think.
I don't think I would make a trip to Atlanta to check it out because I don't think there's gonna be a lot of hockey. But if I was in the Atlanta area, I would definitely
Yeah.
stop by. I'm hoping it does well. I like to see big investments in the hobby. I appreciate Jeff for being so willing to kind of take big gambles. I just have to. Yeah, he makes it life so hard on himself
Yeah.
sometimes. Like these claims that he's making about changing the future of retail, and
Yeah.
I just wish he wouldn't do that because you know, I think that it kind of opens him up for a lot of criticism.
Well, like we've said in the past, people love him, some people hate him. We've seen him at the expo 2 years ago. He was at the expo, so he actually came and looked at hockey cards
Yeah,
and
and that's
was,
awesome. Not a lot of big
yeah,
influencers will kind of make trips to hockey shows.
yeah. I'm curious if it because I think last year we saw a little bit more, or last time we were there, a little bit more on the influencer side. So I'm curious if that keeps building. But yeah, sometimes you just see the stuff though, and I just shake my head. But that's not us. We won't be, I promise we won't be like that.
Okay, Discord 86 collectibles. Why do we put so much emphasis on card autos?
I love
Sometimes act like the player spent the whole day with the card, had lunch or dinner with it, maybe caught a late night movie, then he or she
this.
decided to sign the card for us. When in reality, they swipe their autograph on the card just as fast as they would a sticker auto and held it, quote unquote, just as long. Uh, very, very, very funny question. Got a chuckle out of it. So appreciated that part of it. I just think 86 that in the hobby, we tend to latch on the little details and create big distinctions. and make them really important. Like just the idea of the player touching the card for even a second that they sign it. Your point makes total rational sense,
Yep.
and it is silly the way the hobby treats it. But all that being said, I much rather prefer on card autos and stickers. So I'm part of the problem there.
Yeah, I'm part of the problem too, but I think it's more. I think the big key is it's more personal in our mind. It's a lot more personal to that they signed the card that was in front of them rather than a sticker sheet where they probably didn't even see the card and they just have a list of 100 stickers they sign. I think it's just that more personal attraction that the on card auto has, as the card was in front of them. Like you said, they touched it, they signed it.
I get the next question off, so I'm gonna just sit back and relax.
Oh, what did I do?
Instagram 1313.
Oh, geez.
Mailbag question for my wax guy, Troy. Outside of the Expo or National, I guess, where in the US are great card shows for us sealed wax collectors? Or cop-out question, just great hockey cards in general.
I like it gives the cop-out question. Oh boy.
We always appreciate cop-out questions.
Yeah, I like the cop-out questions. Actually, I put your name in here because I need to ask you something. So, and it's not like I've been to a lot of shows. I've been to the Expo in Toronto. Obviously, he says US, but if you ever want the show that has the most sealed wax, it's probably the Toronto Expo for hockey. And you were at the National. Did they have a lot of hockey wax? I don't remember you saying.
Yeah, no, super cheap. That is actually a good what do you call it? Tip or good idea, because you have David Adams and Steel City and Blowout all there.
Okay.
And they bring tons of wax, and of course it's the US and the National, so not a lot of focus on the hockey, and there's some very, very good deals.
Okay. And so I'll take that next step further. Last year I went to the Burbank Card Show, which is actually going on right now. I didn't even realize it. But there wasn't a ton of sealed hockey, but just like Josh kind of said, the tables that did have hockey wax were really good prices. I remember calling you, telling you, and you're like, "Oh, you should get some." And I think
and then you didn't.
I went looking around, doing some more stuff, and I was like, "Okay, now I'll go back to that table." Wiped out.
Maybe this whole button bar thing is not. You have a problem. I don't even know what it is, but you really have a problem.
I just was so interested in walking around because the nice wide aisles and everything.
I think you didn't want to carry it, and then you're like,
that's part of it too. And because I just flew there with a carry-on, I was like, I don't want to drag this stuff home. And then another thing, so Burbank Card Show, and then we have a big card show. It just launched last year, but in Minnesota, it's called the Minnesota Card Show. Very good name.
Creative name.
And they're big, like annual one. They have a monthly, but the big one's going to be in April of this year. That will give us another sign of what Hockey Wax does at a market, in a Minnesota market, and we'll see if we find good deals on it or what. It's going to be 450 tables, so it'll be pretty big. We'll see how that goes. Canada, walk into any card show and you'll find sealed wax.
This next question is pretty awesome. From our website, our Gong Show website, for our first one there. He said, ever since the revelation on the show that O-Pee-Chee Rough Cut was due to dull blades and not wires. Did you know that, Troy?
Yeah. No.
It got me questioning why the grading companies do not view this as a negative when grading the O-Pee-Chee Gretzky rookie card. A dull blade seems to imply a manufacturing defect and the possibility that there are O-Pee-Chee Gretzky cards cut with sharp blades. PSA doesn't seem to like our cool copy of Trevor Zegras rough cuts, but it gives the Gretzky rough cut a pass. Just want to get your thoughts on this. Big picture, I think grading is out of control, but can't help to think AI-supported grading will help break up artificial population control. Might have to look at the O-Pee-Chee rough cut differently. Would be interested to see how TAG would grade these in the future if they ever expand their range and go back that far. Really a fantastic question.
Yes.
If I had to guess, it's at, I don't know when PSA kind of started to grade these cards and develop their policy around the O-Pee-Chee Gretzky rookie specifically. If they knew that, like, when did the big blade revelation occur? They may have assumed as wires, but whether that's matters or not, I don't know. I think the more significant issue is that such a high percentage, like a very, very high percentage, have the fraying of the rough cut that it would be if they disqualified those from grading or gave them all ones, it would almost be impossible to grade this card. So they just maybe considered it a condition of manufacturing or something like that.
That's probably the best bet I can come up with. I was trying to look up like grading standards and all that stuff, and does it truly say like clean straight edges? Is that part of the grading standard? I
I
don't know
don't
if it
know.
is. And I'm kind of pulling it up. Like I'm looking at a PSA 10 grading standard, and it says 4 perfectly sharp corners, sharp focus, original gloss, must be free of any staining. There's nothing really here
Or
about,
the rough cuts will not have like what you'd consider traditionally a
yeah,
perfect corner either, because they'll have fraying on.
true. So I'm interested, but maybe it's one of those things they probably can't go back on now. So they just kind of live with it. Decision was made and we're stuck with it. But it's a fantastic question. Makes all the
It
sense in
is.
the world.
All right, Gongshow Discord, Broadway blue shirts. Previous items I purchased through PWCC had shipped rather than vaulted. The auction house states if initially vaulted, shipping and tax fees are void. So subsequently, at a later date, I wish to have vaulted cards shipped to my residence. It reads that it would be subjected to sales tax on that particular item. Obviously, there'd be a shipping fee due to the residence, but with a large purchase, maybe it's financially wise to initially submit to vault first and then later date ship to the residence as needed. Maybe I'm reading PWCC policy incorrectly. Please let me know. My Grail payments are due. LOL. Thanks, guys. So we're not tax professionals, number one.
Yeah.
Here's what I can say is that I know PWCC is in Oregon,
Yep.
and
Oregon.
I don't know if they have state sales tax.
No, Oregon
So
does not.
that could factor into it. But beyond that, sometimes when taxes are not collected, it does not mean that they're not due. That's about as far in the tax advice realm that I'll go. And so I wouldn't automatically assume if they're not collected that you don't owe them. But every state's taxes are different too.
Yep.
It's almost impossible to give a blanket statement here. Or guidance. You'd have to talk to a tax professional that's familiar with the tax laws of your state or province.
That's
And then
what
the
I
whole
would do.
Canada tax thing, we have no clue.
Yeah. I get the question. It's a great question. I just don't want to say anything that's wrong. So talk to a tax professional or advisor.
Instagram, Lakeside Cards. Do you see tag grading and or SGC ever catching PSA or Beckett?
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
SGC has already caught Beckett as far
Oh,
as
you
new
got
cards
me.
graded. So
Yep.
that's over, Johnny. I don't know if anyone will ever eclipse or catch PSA
It's gonna be
because
really hard.
the moat that they have around that defends their castle as king of the hobby
Yep.
is the huge amount of the total hobby value that is in PSA slabs. So if somebody were to knock them down, what percentage of hobby value would have to be lost?
Yep. A ton. And think about it this way: am I out of line when I say, as much as I don't want to say this, that the pandemic is probably the best thing that ever happened for PSA?
I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, that doesn't mean they can't gain market share, or they
Mm-hmm.
can't get a niche, and they can't make a lot of money, and they can't be a meaningful or valuable part of the hobby. If anything, it's like the goal should be to be the Pepsi if PSA is
Mm,
Coke. That's the way I would look at it.
okay.
Discord, Blade Visionary. Which one retired NHL player would you want to come back and play in this era so you could watch them live? They would be in their prime playing condition. Okay, Troy, you can go first.
This is a great question. It's a thought one, but if I narrowed it down to just what I'm interested in right now, Ken Dryden or Glenn Hall would be my answer. Ken Dryden, because I'm fascinated with how short his career was, how accomplished it was, and just how it played out in cups and everything. And could that translate to today? What did he look like today? And then Glenn Hall, 502, was it 502 straight games, I think he
Yeah,
played
something crazy
with
like that.
and he didn't even wear a mask until the end. And I would love to see him play and how they look. But man, you name any legendary player that's you could probably put an answer in here. This is a great question.
I went with Rocket Richard,
Yeah.
Maurice Richard, because we've learned so much about him that I would love to see him play. But the thing about that, though, is, and this is no slight to Rocket Richard or Len Hall or anything like that, odds are, like, if you took them in their prime and put them in a hot tub time machine to today, they would be awful, right?
That's always been my thought. Now I'm starting to see more video of like old 50s and 60 games, and it's not as bad as I thought it would be. And but we've gotten into debates even in our coaches room at Tonka about number one, like our boys team at Minnetonka is number one in the state, and how good they are. Could they go out and beat the 1940 whoever's? And I
Yeah.
just, and especially with the or with all the technology
Well, that's the
innovation.
point I was just gonna make
Yeah,
too. Like, if you put new skates and a new stick in Rocket Richard,
yeah,
like,
or
oh,
the training techniques, right? If they had those training techniques that we
yeah,
have now, they would probably be just as good. So it's a
perfect.
great thought debate. I love it. Actually, you know what it is? You got to go buy, what is it? Hockey Manager. There's computer games where you can kind of do this, where you can manage every team that's ever been in
Really.
the world, and you can kind of run scenarios.
Discord Braun. Another great question. In today's times with eBay and other comp sites and card prices changing daily, what is the purpose or benefit of the monthly Beckett magazine anymore? Okay, Troy, you can go first on this one.
I just think first I should actually probably grab a copy and read it. But to me, the pricing stuff probably is not valuable at all. I do remember as a kid flipping through and seeing the prices.
What was the only thing we had?
Yeah, well, that and yeah, the magazine. But I remember going to the library, and literally we walked in that library, and I ran right to the sport section and found the little. I think they were like kind of mini, but they were thick. I think they were Beckett guides, and they had every card. You're just flipping through them and reading through them. And but I think the value still with the magazine is probably the articles, what they write about. I'm assuming they've shifted to more forward-looking topics, hobby-specific topics, not so much on price. I'm sure they still produce the price stuff, but like I've been at the Toronto Expo and we've still seen there's an older collector that probably still uses that. And I've seen the guys have it rolled up in their sleeve and they're sitting there looking through it and got their little paper and checklist. So probably still has a use for them, maybe. But yeah, I don't think the pricing is probably as useful as it was back in the
I
day.
wouldn't use it for pricing. There is a
No.
rack of them at our local card shop though. And this question, next time we go, I'm gonna buy one.
Okay.
Just to see what it's like, because I do kind of have the nostalgic remembrance of that as well. Instagram, Phil Dare. He's
Deal.
from
Oh,
Germany. Says greetings for hi
okay.
Phil. Sorry, we don't pronounce any foreign name correctly because we're stupid Americans, but you probably already knew that. He wants to know our thoughts about Dylan Holloway's potential. This is a tough one because I know that there's been some excitement around his cards, but I didn't really know much about him, to be honest. So I did a little research because I like to learn about players. And from what I understand, the start of his career has been filled with a lot of injuries and a little bit of inconsistency. He does have a good point scoring pedigree, so I can see why people are excited about his potential. I wouldn't, though, say he's a sure thing at this point. And just like we mentioned a little bit ago, we were talking about Lucas Dostal and the struggle bus. These are tough questions when you don't watch a team regularly. Like, I could answer a question about a wild prospect a lot better than I could Dylan Holloway on the Oilers here. And so I'm interested to learn more too. So if any like mega Oilers fans that watch all the games, please chime in and let us know what you think about Dylan Holloway, and we'll pass it along.
Yeah, this is where you need to take the prospecting article angle, and he's got a lot of upside, still young. Just all the basic lines we hear all the time and just throw it in there.
Mhm. It's got a good motor.
Good motor.
All right, there's two questions from Ryan Moss in Instagram. He says, obviously, besides the topic of buying low number cards in the secondary market, especially with players like Gretzky, McDavid, and Bedard, at what point does it become cheaper to just buy boxes and jump in breaks to pull a card in hopes of being a PSA 10 for collection or investment than paying obscene prices on the secondary market? This
Never.
what,
Never.
yeah, I mean, it depends on your perspective. My
Yeah.
opinion is that if you want to consistently build value into your collection, you're much better off buying cards in the secondary market.
Yeah, I think for the one
The right
time,
cards.
yeah, I was gonna say for the one time you do buy the box and hit it, there's just that other variable. Now it has to be it's gotta be grade a gem man. I would just much rather go after the single, even if it's exorbitant, if it's a card I want.
Then his next question is a good one too. He said, "Do you also think there should be a standardized pricing system implemented, or do you think at the very least the card manufacturers should take into serious consideration when creating odds of pulling certain cards? The best example is manufactured patches and OPC. These cards are absolutely trash, in his opinion, but they are supposed to have um, some of the toughest odds of pulling them are really hard. I don't think Upper Deck or other card manufacturers have, what they do is they create stuff and then the market decide and the hobby decides the value. And so, you look at like some like why do people love jambalaya cards so much and have strong distaste for other cards? It's like, could you ever have predicted that?
Yeah.
No. And so I almost think that it's just that it's the job of the card producer to continue to just produce more and creative ideas and not and actually I would almost prefer them not to think of it as value to just
Yeah.
be totally unencumbered and be as creative as humanly possible. And then because I think that that's actually how you get to more special cards
No.
down the road. And the criticism that I've had for Upper Deck over the last few years is that they've relied so heavily on tribute and retro cards that they haven't produced more of the newer designs, which I'm sure that the reason why they went to the tributes and retros in the first place is because it's a safer bet.
Yep.
It's like, oh, people love these cards, so let's make more rather than trying something new and maybe crazy that could have a more polarized reaction. Do you have any thoughts?
No, I'm with you. I like the sentiment or the thought in this question, but again, I think you're right with we do know that they do when a product's released, they do look and see what cards are going for. We know that much that they look and they're interested. Maybe it helps drive some of the next year's product release or 2 years the set release. But yeah, I'm kind of with everything you said.
All right, Instagram Coastal Collection 29. Do you guys each have a Grail card you aspire to get? If so, what is it? I would actually love a really nice O-Pee-Chee Gretzky rookie with what I call like a medium rough cut because I am a rough cut fan. I
Okay.
don't have a grade in mind because there's some, and I've definitely learned this with hanging
Yeah.
out with Jeremy so often. There's some PSA 8s that are awful, and there's some
Hmm.
PSA 4s that are amazing cards. I just want to I want the good card, and I don't care as much about the number on the grade, but I would want it authenticated because
Yep.
that's an important factor in Gretzky rookies. Do you have a
Yep.
Grail card, Troy, that you aspire to get?
Mike Bossy, O-Pee-Chee rookie, PSA 10.
Yeah,
Or I'll
that'd
say
be
high grade. Let's put it in the realm of maybe I can get it high grade.
great question from the Real McCards Instagram. What's a subset you think belongs in a different product? I would actually move Young Guns acetates at this point back to SP Authentic. Now, and this kind of relates to our the pre-sale price at $500. That so when extended series came out, Young Guns updates, which used to be SP Authentic, went to
Yep.
extended
Yep.
because now you have another flagship product. Acetates went from SP Authentic to extended, and that's done a lot to make extended really interesting. And this year is going to be pretty awesome. But I think it kind of took chopped a leg out of SP Authentic. And now that we're looking at $500 a box, and really beyond the Future Watch autos, not a real strong secondary insert chase. I think that's a big hole in the SP Authentic product. Now, we also haven't seen the checklist for the new set, so maybe Upper Decks address that and was something to look forward to there. But if I had to make a choice today, I would move Young Guns acetates back to SP Authentic.
Yeah, we've talked about it before too, of maybe culling a couple sets and maybe moving the bigger cards into different sets. Those cards, I can't remember off the top of the head which ones I wanted to cull or what we were talking about, but maybe some of those bigger cards can go into SP Authentic. But if you move that acetate, Young Guns acetate, you kill extended then again, or is
I don't know. I mean, what if they're
maybe you
putting?
move it and make extended? Well, this would be controversial. You move the Young Gun acetates to SP Authentic, then you make extended retail only. Oh, that would cause some drama.
They could have put Logan Cooley and Leo Carlson, no, or Logan Cooley and Adam Fantilli
Yeah.
in Series 2, but they put it in extended. So if you're going to do that going forward and you're going to keep some really good Series 2 rookies for extended, then I think you can put Estate back in SP. Authentic. My opinion. Instagram, Diamond Dog Sports. What's more likely to happen? Coyotes leave Arizona or win the Cup? Well, they're really close to leaving Arizona and pretty far away from the Cup at this
Yeah.
point, which is sad. I would love for them to stay in Arizona, but it seems much more likely they would leave Arizona. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't know what happened. What's Salt Lake City doing? Are they trying to get a new team or do they want one to move? I can't remember what they were
I
trying to
think that
do.
they want one to move. The owner of the Jazz has a lot of
Yeah.
money and is promising to build an arena and all
Yeah.
that sort of stuff.
I feel there's a little bit of heat there, so maybe
I think a
they'll
team would work in Salt Lake City. I don't like when teams move. I think that
yeah.
just don't like it. Okay, Twitter or X, Whales of the Hobby. He is asking an if or question, Troy. If you owned a hobby shop, would you A, offer high demand products at a fair and reasonable price, encouraging customer retention and positive reputation? Series 2. Or B, milk as much as you can at a high demand releases by marking up prices to essentially whatever people
O-Pee-Chee.
are willing to pay for. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have an answer here?
Well, yeah, I do. And this is, I don't want to come off like I'm altruistic and I'm just, but it's like, I get the point. People want to make as much money as they can, but I would never want to be known as the guy or the shop that's known for marking up my product to an insane amount. I feel if I'm fair and reasonable and I can make, obviously, I need to make a profit, but I feel the goodwill and the repeat business over that long term as being known as fair, reasonable on products would overtake or would make up for any huge profits made in the short term. That's how I look at it. Now, look at someone. What if you're the only card shop within 200 miles? Are you really incentivized? Maybe that's when you jack it up because you know people are going to pay. But I just would never want to be known for that. I'd rather be known as the fair and reasonable. Obviously, make a profit, but be fair and reasonable.
If we own a hobby shop, Troy, Gongshow Cards, whatever we called it, I think I would consistently do like a middle of the road approach. I would undercut David Adams here in the US that we're a cheaper alternative. Now it might be hard to do that on their clearance.
Yeah, I was
stuff.
going to say, are you even
Deep.
able to?
Yeah, they cut deep on those, but I would try to do that.
Yeah.
All right, another one from Twitter X Sebastian Engelhart. He said Billy Cilio always talks about how they open a random quality control case on the day of new set releases. What happens like if they open up the Bedard
Great
101
question.
or high gloss in a few weeks? Do you think they would let us know or just try to get it repacked? That is a fantastic
Yeah,
question.
great
I think
question.
that's probably their worst nightmare. Statistically, the odds are almost, are negligible.
Near impossible.
I'm assuming they would try to repack it and figure
Yeah.
something out.
We'll ask him. We'll ask him next time he's on.
That's a good one. Instagram, Kevin M. Cormier. Have either of you gone back and gotten cards from the licensed era of in the game or be a player? Any particular ones stand out? So a number of years ago, Kevin, I bought a bunch of wild player autos from Be a Player. Bought a number of Brent Burns ones, which I really like. And do you have the photo here, Troy?
Oh, yes, I do.
It's kind of babyface Brent Burnsy.
Yep.
I thought these were really nice looking cards. So, and they're pretty cheap. The Be a Player
Yeah.
autos, you get them
Yep.
for a great discount. Okay, Facebook question. William Bronson. He says synergy, Orem, etc. Scratch offs, yay or nay? What's the strategy there? Buy, sell, scratched, or unscratched? So the first thing, William, to know about these is these are bounty program cards that you have to buy a number of them or complete a challenge, like getting all the cards in the set. Then you scratch them off. Then you enter the code underneath in the Upper Deck Bounty site at upperdeckbounty.com. So I definitely would not scratch any unless you're really going for the bounty. I think most people don't scratch them off until they have all of them, because once you do, if you don't redeem them for the bounty, they pretty much lose
Yeah.
all of their value at that point. The other thing is these bounties, a lot of the rewards are limited. So like the first 25 people, the first 100 people sort of deal. So for anyone you might be interested in, go to that upperdeckbounty.com, see if the bounty program's still active, and then see if it's worth it based on how many of the rewards are still left. You would be shocked if you're not familiar, like how fast these. I
Yes.
think I'm guessing it was 3 or 4 hours ish of the O-Pee-Chee release before all the Bedard autos were gone.
Yeah. The
People go
25. Yeah.
bananas for these right away. Yeah, maybe 12 hours, something like that. As far as like buying, or I think all this being said, a lot of these, like, the designs of these have been awesome. Like the Orem cards look great. And so if you want to buy some that are probably unscratched, would be the best idea for like your PC. I think that's a like I said, lots of cool cards. I think they're more PC cards though than investment cards.
Yeah. I agree. And I'll say this. I don't have any interest in doing the bounties. I don't think I have the time, the patience,
The money.
or the money to do it. But if I do get them, boy, I list, like I've learned, list them. If the bounty's still active, you list that sucker right away and get it sold, because that's probably the highest price you'll ever get is right away.
Mhm. All right, next question. Instagram Weekend Warrior cards. Why do you think there are so few American goalies in modern day hockey compared to goalies in the NHL from other countries? So I'm gonna let you. This is a question for you, but
Well,
I
I
did do
apologize.
some quick
Yeah.
research.
Okay. I want you to read your research, because I totally didn't even see this question. So I apologize, because I would have went ham on this.
Yeah, so there's 19 American goalies that have played in the NHL this year,
Okay.
which is second behind Canada, who's at 32. Then third and fourth are Russia with 11 and Sweden with 10. So
Okay.
it's nowhere close to Canada, but quantitatively, in number that have played, it seems like we're doing pretty good at number two country. Quality wise, though, I think the general consensus is that we're ahead of Canada as far as like that's a big concern for the
Yes.
Olympics coming up is
Yes.
their relative weakness at goalie. So what do you think?
No, I agree. Now, if you look at this on a per capita basis, we're probably last. I mean, to be
Sure.
honest, with American goalies and how many, the population of the U.S. But from what I've known, and I go to USA Hockey, I read a lot, I go to seminars and stuff for coaching. They have a program in place. I think it's 50 and 30, is if I remember right. No, 51 and 30. They want 51% of the minutes played in the NHL and whatever the pro women's, the PWHL, 51 of those minutes to be played by US goalies. So they put a lot of emphasis into goaltender development. And we've actually seen the quality of US goalies increasing, like you kind of said.
Yeah.
Obviously, the count is not there, but I got to believe that number is even increasing to, I don't know what the mid 80s were, how many American goalies there were. Now, what the crazy thing is, look at Sweden. 10, they have the population, I think, of Minnesota. It's like the
Crazy.
Scandinavians, Finland and Sweden, that's where the US, when they implemented this 51 and 30 program, or USA Hockey, basically went over to Finland and Sweden and said, teach us what you guys are doing, because your program's working. The amount of, like, per capita basis, Sweden and Finland, I think, probably are really high. So while the count's down, I think the quality, we're seeing definitely improvement in US goalies. But it's a great question. Love it.
And that's where the per capita thing you could go back into too. It's like the percentage of boys that play hockey
Yeah,
in Sweden per capita has got to be way bigger than the US.
I would assume
And
so. Yes.
so yeah. Instagram BMX Relics. Do you know anything about the Topps vault and Gretzky cards or items that have been purchased from them? I've
Oh,
never heard of the Topps vault.
I've never heard of the Topps
It
vault.
says,
Is it the
nooks and
Fanatics vault?
crannies, like the million nooks and crannies of the hobby
Yeah.
try. So if anyone knows, please hit up the Gong Show tip line and message us, because honestly, that's the first I've ever heard of it in my life.
Yeah.
Facebook Dave Preston. Do you ever think hockey cards will have different stats on the back other than
Oh,
like
great
goals,
question.
assists, plus minus, now that there's more data available? Troy, I would love to see like stat variation card. So what Topps does is they'll do like a
Oh,
very
that's
like
cool.
with advanced stats variation, where again it's another way to make base cards interesting, like we talked
Yeah.
about in hobby news. And so it's like a instead of like a photo variation, it's like stats variation where in baseball they do advanced metrics. They could do the same for hockey.
Yes, I agree with you 100%. I love that. Yes, they need to. I hope they eventually move past goals and assists. You probably always have, but let's be honest. I've railed on plus minus. Yes, I'll bring it up sometimes when it's really lopsided, but plus minus, throw that away. Let's get Corsi numbers. Let's get relative Corsi numbers. Now, the problem is, how many hockey fans know what those numbers actually mean? That's the problem. Some of the name, like Corsi, means it's the guy that created the metric. It doesn't mean anything. It's not like an acronym or anything. So you'd have to put some basis on having people learn too. But as long as advanced analytics are becoming more and more prominent, they mention them all the time now in newspaper articles or Athletic or all the sites. So there's definitely a market or people know what they are now, which is good. Love that.
Next question, Instagram, Mikey's Singer Dad. Mikey Singer from the Sport Card Expo.
Who did this? I wonder if it really is his dad.
It is him. It is I think it's like his personal account. He's the dad. Is there a better hockey card than O-Pee-Chee Platinum, especially the rainbow foil? I love O-Pee-Chee Platinum rainbow parallels. Very nice. Yeah, that chromium rainbow sheen to them. Kind of the equivalent or comparison is the Panini Silver Prism. I'm not sure if it's the best card, Mikey, but I'm a big fan of them and love them too. You a fan of the O-Pee-Chee Platinum rainbows, Troy?
I am a fan, but man, I totally fell into the seismic gold Boboism. I love how those look. And it's gold, it's shiny. I even like them better than the golden treasures. I really like the seismic golds, what those look like.
All right, last question. Our marathon mailbag here. Instagram, another card chaser. What's your thoughts on Tag grading? Is it worth giving them a shot over PSA? I like Tag a lot.
Yep.
A really lot. At this point, I think it's a fantastic option for PC cards. But if you want to resell another card chaser, PSA is going to be your best bet. So I don't see it as like it's not a, it depends on what your goal is. I don't think there's, if your goal is to resell, then it would be a bad move to grade a Tag. But if it's a PC card, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I agree. They look absolutely fantastic in hand. I would have no problem grading with Tag for my PC. I don't grade a lot for like investment, or rarely at all. So I can't really speak to that, but PC, they look fantastic. And as long as they keep growing and they keep improving, who knows? We'll see what happens with a lot of body. Like they're probably the only true, are they the only true really like AI? Or AI, I don't want to use that
AI.
word.
They're not AI.
Let me use computer vision or something. I don't know what we're going to call it.
Computer assisted or computer.
But yeah, I like the approach they've been taking. So yeah, and full transparency, Josh does a show with Jeremy Lee every Sunday night, PWCC Weekly. Jeremy works for Tag.
Yeah. All right, Troy. Personal pickups. You get anything?
I got nothing. Do you have one?
No.
You don't? What was this then? Here, we're going to put on your production meeting. This was in the show.
Oh, I thought I was going to get that, but I didn't.
Oh.
That was a preemptive personal pickup.
Yeah, okay. Remember, or I might have some for next week. We'll see if I can jump on the PWCC Weekly. The
show was a beast. It was a lot to. I had no time.
It was. This one was 2.5 hours almost. We'll see after edits, but it'll be close to 2 hours and 20 something. Whew.
If you like the episode, please leave a rating and review on Apple, Spotify, whatever podcast app you listen to us on. If you love the show, if you love Troy, who doesn't? You want to support us, want to chat with us on the Hockey Cards Gongshow Discord server, please consider a $5 a month donation. Join our out of $1.99 support level tier on Patreon. Link is in the show description on podcast apps or YouTube within our Instagram or TikTok profile. You can go to the Patreon website, patreon.com, and search for Hockey Cards Gongshow, or go to our website, hockeycardsgongshow.com, and click on the Become a Patron link there. We are on social media. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube. And Troy, the Hockey Cards Gongshow podcast is a production of Dollar Box Ventures LLC. Happy Monday. Enjoy the start to your week, and we'll chat with you all on Thursday.